Hey everybody, welcome to another rendition of Mir Musk, episode 25, the Josh Denny interview. We today will be interviewing probably one of the greatest comedians, one of the greatest hardworking comedians to come out of Philadelphia, PA. It is an honor to meet you, sir, and just to have you on the show as always. Thank you so much for coming on.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, so I kind of want to just dive right into you and your
Sure.
career and all that good shit. So right off the bat, what kind of brought you to comedy? Because I kind of want to understand that about you. Like, what kind of drew you to it? Was there any comedians? Was it like any shows that kind of just drew your eye? What was going on?
Yeah, I was always like a big fan of comedy growing up. Like, I had an aunt that was really into comedy. She was like the funny person in our family. And she introduced me to a lot of comedy when I was young, like Robin Williams stuff and George Carlin and Eddie Murphy. She was like really big into like the comics that were on SNL in the 70s and 80s. So like Belushi, Eddie Murphy, those kind of guys, Chevy Chase, Steve Martin. And then of course she loved Robin Williams. And then as far as stand-up goes, like it was one of those things that was sort of always in the background of my life, and I always loved it. And it wasn't until I had gone to a live stand-up show in a club. The first club show I had ever gone to was in 2006. I saw Dave Attell, Sean Rouse, and Al Jackson at the old West Palm Beach Improv in Florida. Right. And yeah, it was like a late show Saturday. I was in town for something for my day job, and it was like the end of our work week, and we saw that Dave Attell was at the club, and I liked Attell. And we went, and I just sort of fell in love with it. And I had been a musician for a long time, like guitarist in metal bands and stuff.
Right.
And probably like 6 or 7 months before this time, my last like project had split up, and everybody had gone their separate ways. And I was at that age, like it was probably like 23.
Yeah.
When like all the guys I was jamming with, they were like getting married and going back to college, having kids and stuff. And so it was just like, dude, I don't know any other like young guys that jam, that play the kind of music that I play. So I was kind of like, it was like on my own without anything. And my friends always were like, dude, you should be a comedian. You're way funnier than you are talented as a musician. And I never thought of it until I went to that show in Florida, and I was like, maybe I can do this. Right. And I talked to Rouse and Attell after the show about like, if I wanted to get started, like what are the steps and everything else. And then I did my first open mic like a month later and never looked back.
How was that experience for you at an open mic? How was that?
I did better than most people do at open mics because I had experience being on stage, and I did a lot of like public speaking in groups for my corporate job. Okay. So that was not a problem for me. And I had no idea how open mics worked. So like I had only seen comedy on TV in theaters and then that one club show. So I'm like, all right, well, I need at least like a half hour of shit. And I went to my first open mic, and they're like, you get 3 minutes. And I was like, fuck, I guess I'll do 1 or 2 tips, right? So and that helped me kind of jumpstart my career as a comedian, because I started with a lot more time than most people start with. Right. Like most people start with like maybe 5 minutes. And I had 30, like it was rough, but I had 30 when I started. So I went out featuring like a month or two into stand-up for other comics that I had become friends with pretty quickly. And then, by the end of the first year, I was headlining one-nighters on the road by myself, because I had, just written so much in that first year.
And what town or what scene were you in when you
Minneapolis?
Oh,
yeah,
no shit.
Minneapolis. Yeah, nice. I had moved there in high school. I lived in southern Minnesota in 98, and I graduated Austin High School 2001, and then moved to Minneapolis in like 2004, and had started doing stand-up in 2006. So
I just moved up here this year.
Oh, you're in Minnesota?
Yeah.
Oh,
I moved from Florida. Yeah. So
that's like a opposite move.
Yeah, I know, but
go to the warm
I still
weather.
got my place down there, so I kind of go back and forth. So I'll be back down there soon.
You're a reverse snowbird.
Yeah, no, I mean, trust me. Once January and February hits, I'll be down there, bro.
Florida, yeah, that's smart. No, but the summers in Minnesota are great, and I love that city. At least I should say I did. The last couple times I've gone back, right before the George Floyd thing happened and post George Floyd, it's like, it's a whole different city, man.
Is that city fucked now completely?
It's fucked. It's completely fucked. And by the way, it's like one of the largest Islamic populations in the United States is that area. And it was starting when I lived there because I moved in this brand new building in Burnsville.
Yeah.
In 2006. I started a new job and then started comedy like 6 months later. So I moved, started a new job, and then started comedy like 6 months after that. And it was like this kind of big snowball effect of like all new shit. But I remember in this new building, I was like, man, most of my neighbors are like Somali and Ethiopian, and they were all Muslim. And I was just like, this is probably just like a neighborhood thing. And then lo and behold, like Minneapolis over the next probably 10 years is gone. I think it's like 30% or something now.
Okay. So I kind of, go ahead, Josh. I got a question.
No, I was just going to say, yeah, he's 100% right. It's like, like there's a lot of immigrants from Somalia, and it's just like, it's weird. It's so different, because I lived in lots of metropolises and in the South and different areas where they're African and they're black people, but they're like a different vibe than like American black people.
Yeah, so it's a huge cultural shift, right? Like last time I was there, I was doing House of Comedy in Minneapolis, and that's in the Mall of America. So like during the day, you're walking through the mall, you don't got anything going on, and I was like, Jesus Christ, this fucking mall feels like I'm in the middle of
the Middle East.
It's like Abu Dhabi or some shit, man. I was like, this is insane. I felt like I was at the UAB.
Holy shit, I'm fucking dead. So I got another question for you, brother. So what kind of got you onto the Food Network, or what was that? Your food show you had going on. How'd you score that, and what made you want to do a show like that?
I got super lucky. I wouldn't say I ever really wanted to do a show like that. Like I used to be on I'm sure you guys know this from the podcast world, but I was a regular co-host on NLO back in the day. Nobody Likes Onions, Patrick Melton's show.
Yeah.
And we were obsessed with those kind of food shows. Like we loved Man versus Food, and we loved all that stuff. And we were always like, oh, dude, I would do this in a heartbeat. But it was never like a goal to do it. And then when I started doing when I broke out and started doing my own podcast in 2014, it was food centric. And then the producers of the show just sort of found my podcast and happened upon me that way. And then I went through this pretty rigorous audition process for like a year, and where you sort of do these test shoots and like a one act of a pilot. They just call it a sizzle. And and then Food Network and Travel Channel really liked me, and then they ended up building a show around me and greenlit it. So I mean, it was one of those things. It's just wild and lucky. Like, it's kind of funny because I'm proud of the fact that the first thing I ever piloted went to series, but also the way it ended and the way that I sort of unceremoniously canceled myself. It also would probably be the last thing I ever put to pilot, right, through a network. So. It was like it's I guess it's like one of those guys has one fight and then goes, I'll retire undefeated.
Right.
So is that something that you made the move then from, you were in LA at that point, right?
Yeah, I had been in LA. I moved to LA in 2009. So I was only like 3 years into comedy when I moved to LA, and I had a chance to relocate here with my day job.
And were you for some reason I thought you were out of Chicago, but it was always Minneapolis first, then LA?
Yeah, when I first started, so like I had a job as a district manager for Crocs shoes, and I had like half the country.
Right.
And then eventually I had just the Northeast US. So I had like Minnesota all the way over to Philly and New York, and then pretty much like the cutoff would have been maybe the Carolinas. So my locations were all in I had a Pittsburgh, Minnesota, Iowa, and then we opened Chicago the first summer I was working. So because I went out there in August or June, July, August that summer, I had just started doing stand-up. It was like December 2006. And so we had just opened the Chicago market. I was there all the time. And so I started doing open mics in Chicago in the first year as well. So, and that was cool. That was like a totally different scene. Like I always said that Minneapolis was filled with really good writers, and I felt like Chicago was filled with like better performers.
Right.
Yeah, technical versus like a character, you know, like.
Well, and there were better storytelling comics in Chicago when I started. So like the guys that were in the open mic scene when I started were guys like Kyle Kinane, you know what I mean, and TJ Miller was there.
I like him. He's fucking hard, dude.
TJ was there. Prescott Tolk, who's a writer. I think he's still a writer for Bill Maher. But he was one of the guys that was one of the comics in the local scene. And then, of course, like Kumail Nanjiani and Mike Bridenstine and Renee Gautier, Lauren Bishop. There were a bunch of Chicago comics. And they all are like working and doing big shit here in LA and in the business. You know, probably Kumail is probably the biggest one now. But so you know, they were a little bit more like kind of characters in Chicago, right? Like, and I guess it explains why a lot of those guys popped when they moved to Los Angeles and New York, because they sort of fit this sort of character actor, comedic actor, you know, vibe. Whereas like all the guys in Minnesota sort of look the same, and even if they're brilliant comedians, right? They're all sort of like hippie stoner looking white dudes, you know.
Well, you got the throwback hat though. You got the the
this is Philadelphia Athletics.
There you go. You go. And so I wanted to ask you real quick, what was your take on the Los Angeles comedy scene, you know, compared to Chicago and whatnot? Like,
when I first moved here, like a lot of the dudes who I had, you know, I wasn't necessarily friends with them, but I knew them from the Chicago scene.
Right.
They were kind of out here. Like Kinane had just moved out here, and I think he had gotten a Presents. TJ had moved out here and was on a show called Carpoolers on ABC. So he landed like a sitcom as soon as he came out here, and had done like some TV guest stuff. And then a couple of the other guys had been doing a lot of commercials and shit. So most of the dudes I knew when I moved out here were from Chicago. And then I knew some of the LA guys through other friends. But when I came out, I always skated by in the Minneapolis scene, in Chicago, because I was a pretty good performer and I didn't really focus on writing. And then when I moved to LA, I was like, wow, people out here are good performers and great writers. Right. So you kind of got to be good at both. And so
you're a small fish in a big pond and shit.
Yeah. So I really was like, you know, I really had to like focus in on writing and try to, you know, be a little bit more clever. It took me a little while to kind of find my unique style and voice.
Okay.
Yeah, from an outside perspective, I noticed that around that time, all those Chicago guys went, and I just follow from podcasting. And then I realized like all these different cliques kind of started coming around in the LA scene, and there's like different styles of comedy. And then the podcasting thing really fueled it too, because then they'd go on each other's podcasts. And I almost thought back then, like to me, it was like almost who you knew more than like how good you were, you know?
Yeah, well, sort of. I mean, you know, but I'll say, man, like there were guys who got stuff because they were part of that bubble and they knew certain people, but that stuff got exposed pretty quickly. Like, you know, they would get like a deal or a development deal or something, or they'd get an opportunity to do something with Comedy Central or whatever, and then it just wouldn't go beyond that, right? So there was a time, because you got to think, I moved here in 2009. And my show wasn't on the air until 2017. So I was here for 8 years?
Yeah.
Before I had anything on TV.
Breaking your fucking back and shit. Yeah.
Yeah, but then I had my own series for 3 seasons. So it's like, you know, there were guys who in that 8 years like blew by me, even dudes who started way after me. But you know, for the most of the part in my early comedy career, I was part-time. I was still working a day job. I was still you know,
did you ever have moments where you were kind of just like, it's not going to work out for me. I got to do something else. I got to go back to my day job full time. No, obviously you do it full time to some extent, but
no. It was actually the opposite. I never intended to do comedy full time.
Oh shit. Okay.
Until I had something like it, until it was sort of like obvious, right? Like if I had gotten a TV show or gotten some stand-up credits or gotten an agent or a manager that was going to put me on the road, then I would have made the move. But I had no intention of leaving. I was sort of forced out because of comedy. So I had worked for a couple different places. I left Crocs with the dude who brought me to Crocs 6 years before that in 2012, and him and the original CFO of Crocs bought Sean John's retail stores away from them.
Okay.
And we ran those for like 18 months, and I worked for those guys. And it was kind of a quick flip. Like, we bought it with the intention of running it and making money and expanding the business. And then about a year and a half later, Sean was like, I want to buy it back.
Oh,
and so my bosses were like, dude, you got to go out and find another job because we're not going to have a job for you. And I was like, all right. So I just went out and started interviewing for places, and I went to work for this check cashing company. They recruited me very hard, offered me a huge salary with great benefits. And their whole kind of shtick was like, we're trying to get away from the predatory lending
predatory lending
of check cashing companies, right?
Yeah.
Like, and they were like, we're looking for outsiders, people that aren't from the finance world, to come in and help us change the business. And I was like, cool, I'll do that. And then like 90 days in, when we were doing our director orientation and going over benefits, I found out that they weren't going to cover me and my girlfriend on benefits, even though we qualified for benefits in California.
Right.
And, because we were registered domestic partners, and this was before universal marriage equality with Obama. So we found out that, like, even back when I worked with Crocs, that if I registered her as domestic partner, it's the same as a marriage in California back then, because that's how gay people got each other covered on their benefits. They changed rather than try to legalize gay marriage, they changed the law that said if you offer benefits to people in California, you have to do it for domestic partnerships the same way you do for marriages.
Okay.
So we had found that loophole. And then they weren't going to cover us on the benefits. So I brought it to their attention that not only is that not okay, but it's illegal, and that it would be a problem for the company if we refuse to fucking, hire gay people or benefit gay people, right? Like, because two of the managers I wanted to hire that had worked for me before were gay guys, and they were both married. So I was like, I definitely didn't want to hire two guys that are going to immediately jump into a class action lawsuit against the company for declining them benefits. So they were like, yeah, we didn't know anything about this. We didn't know the law or whatever. And so we're going to have to look into this. And then a week later they fired me, and they used the clips of my comedy that were online as the scapegoat. They were like, your comedy's inappropriate. This is why you gotta go. So it was sort of kicked out on my ass. And I had been, like, surprisingly, it was sort of like it's sort of like an everything happens for a reason thing. Like, I just bought a new car when I got that job, because I was going to be traveling a lot more, and I had an SUV and I was getting crushed on gas. So I bought a 4-cylinder Ford, and it was like I bought a brand new car. And then, I had that through the summer. And when we were traveling, I was taking Ubers everywhere. So when I got fired, like, unemployment in California is garbage. It's like $400 a week. I was making I was making 130 grand a year. I was like, yeah, that's not close. So I just started driving Uber in my new car. And I was like, all right, well, it's going to be very difficult to get a job, with this termination on my thing. And then also, when you're suing a company, spoiler alert, your lawyer advises you, hey, you have to go out and look for a job, but, like, don't really go get a job, because if you're working, they're going to try to mitigate the damages. Right. So it's good he's like, work, but don't really get a job, if you know what I mean. So it's kind of the perfect time to go, okay, man, fuck, I guess I'll try to take a shot at comedy, and I'll do Uber, and I'll collect my unemployment, and I'll work this lawsuit. Cause we sued him for wrongful termination, and we ended up settling.
Good man. There you go.
Yeah. But that took 18 months. And so what's interesting was, in that 18 months, I was like, okay, I guess I'll start my own podcast. I'll do whatever I got to do to try to get my career moving in the right direction. And it wasn't long after that I had the first reach out from that company, from Lucid, who did Ginormous Foods. So, it was like in that 2-year time where I was, like, really focused on trying to make it, I did a lot of shit and ended up getting my own TV show in like 24 months.
See, this is what I'm talking about. This is why you're such an amazing, like, individual in the own aspect of hardworking, because your back's against the fucking wall, and you fucking, pulled up your bootstraps and shit and actually got shit done. You know, a lot of people don't do that. A lot of people just fold, you know, they complain, they shit on themselves or how life's treated them. You don't do that shit. And we respect that for real.
Yeah, dude. And by the way, like, it's funny because I have I have very dedicated detractors and haters. And I think that's the thing they hate the most about me is there's
people hate winning. People hate
winning. But you know what it is? It's like they hate you if you win, but they hate you even more if you can lose and pick yourself up and keep moving forward.
Exactly.
Like, I've taken so many fucking L's in my life and my career, especially in the last 10 years, but I just keep getting up and moving fucking forward, and no one's going to stand in my way. And most of the people who don't like me don't have an ounce of the fucking resilience that I have in their lives. They've never tried anything. They've never risked anything. They've never accomplished anything because they're cowards.
And you have, and this is
so I'd rather be a brave loser than a fucking undefeated faggot coward.
Exactly.
Good man right here. He is not a faggot coward. He's a fucking PA brotherly love motherfucker right here, all right?
Yeah, that's us. That's Philadelphia, dude. It's like, well, you know, Philadelphia people will have nothing and still be willing to wake up and fight every day. And that's just the way it is, man.
No matter how much heroin they're on, they'll still fight the day through.
Dude, did you go to high school in Philly or in the Philly
no,
area?
I'm not even from Philly, bro, at all.
Oh, you're just an Eagles fan?
I'm just an Eagles fan.
Oh, okay.
I'm from St. Louis.
Yeah, dude, my graduating class, if I would have stayed in Delco, the kids I would have graduated in Ridley Park, it was like something like 30 kids from my graduating class have died of heroin overdoses since.
What losers.
Yeah, dude, it's fucking, they're not very good at not dying.
So I kind of want to dive in a little bit deeper into you right
now.
You know, no pun intended, but so you're killing it in the comedy, you're doing your fucking thing, you know, you're proving the haters wrong by picking yourself back up. How did you get involved with Ryan Castro Rivera and all those gents? What cultivated that a little bit?
Yeah, so it was actually Gavin who I got in touch with first. It was when I was canceled in 2018.
Why were you canceled?
It was if you guys remember the Sutherland Springs shooting?
What are the details of that one? There's been so many.
It was it was one of the ones where good guy with an AR-15 stopped a mass shooting by killing a bad guy with an AR-15. So, but if you remember, this happened. It was like May 18th, 2018. I think was the exact date. It's almost scorched into my mind. But the Sutherland Springs shooter. Again, good guy with an AR-15 stopped a mass shooting from getting out of. I think the guy. I don't know if he didn't get anybody, but it was definitely like the good guy with the AR-15 put it down pretty quickly before it was like a real
tweaker got
real problem.
Quick.
So anyway, because it was like a good gun story, they couldn't go for guns on Twitter and in the media, right? So
makes sense.
It went. So the narrative went from being. We've got a gun problem in this country to we have a straight white male problem in this country. And then I tweeted, straight white males become the new N-word. And that pissed the entire internet off. And so that thing boiled up. It was massive.
Did you get, so you lost your show from that too, right?
Well, the show had ended before that. The show had ended about 6 months before that because I wanted more money. The show was performing pretty well. I asked for more money. They didn't want to do it. They also wanted a lot more control over what I was doing outside of the show and of the network. And one of those things was they wanted to have more control over what I was talking about politically, which I was, I was like, listen,
you don't want to take control on that. Yeah.
You guys can have control over everything. You're just going to have to cut me a really big fucking check. And they didn't want to do that.
Few zeros in there.
Yeah. I said it was $2 million a year for 10 years.
Damn.
I said for $20 million a year, I'll stop doing stand up. I won't say anything political on Twitter and I'll judge fucking baking shows on your network 5 days a week. If that's what you want me to do. But if you want me to sell out, take the checkbook out. Right.
Right, exactly.
So
continue back what you were saying though. So you got canceled, and then
so that got canceled, and then so when that happened, it got a ton of media, and then a lot of people were like, "Hey, dude, you're a canceled guy now. You should talk to Owen Benjamin. You should talk to Gavin McInnes. You should talk to all these different like canceled people." And Gavin was the only one who picked up my story and was like interested in meeting me and talking to me And then when we talked, we found out we had so much in common. Like we both kind of worked for startup companies. His was one he founded.
Right, Vice, right?
We,
No, it was the
Vice.
Yeah, it was Vice.
Well, yeah, originally it was Voice of Montreal, and before that it was oh man, I'm losing track of the history of Gavin.
That's right.
Which I usually know pretty
Gavin,
well. But yeah, so anyway, and then kind of both like we shared stories about feeling like you were part of this big startup and then having it taken away from you, which was kind of how me and a lot of the original guys at Crocs felt, because they started bringing in like Reebok dudes and Nike dudes, to try to like turn the company around in the right direction. And so it sort of felt like the same thing. You see this in all these like startup movies or shows. I just watched the one about the Uber founder, Travis Kalanick, which is actually a pretty good show. It's on Netflix now, but it was a Showtime series. But anyway, and then we both have like non-white significant others, and then turns out like his wife Emily's from Minneapolis, so she knew a lot of the same people that I knew and ran in some of the same circles. But yeah, so it was like we just kind of hit it off, and then when I went out there, it's like probably spring the next year, to do Kumia's show live and do some stand-up. Gavin was like, come stay with me at the house. And I met Ryan then. And then we kind of just hung out, had lunch, shot the shit. And then Gavin offered me to do a show on his network.
Censorship TV, yeah.
Yeah. And then I started doing Next Week Tonight on there. And we did that for a season. And then started doing the sports show like last year. So, and then we started doing the live stuff last year too.
Have you ever been like concerned? Because I saw you guys went on tour last year, and you guys were, I think, somewhat touring this year to some extent, right? Correct?
Yeah. Well, we pretty much have had a show every month this year. And then a couple months where we had 2 shows.
Have you had any instances of possibly not fearing for your life, but fearing, like, oh, dude, like this is not good vibes here?
Never once.
Never once. So Antifa and all of them never scared you guys.
They never show up. No, they never show up. The biggest problem is that they scare the venue, and then the venue pulls the plug on the show. So like, we had that happen in Rutherford, New Jersey, where Antifa, got all the way to the mayor's office. The mayor conspired with the chief of police to shut the show down. And then, they ended up blocking our show in Rutherford. We ended up suing them and settling out of court, but they ended up paying us more than we would have made if we had done our show. So, we're not afraid of that shit. I mean, I haven't watched Gavin's show from today yet, but Nashville, we had a crazy situation this weekend where at like 20 minutes before the show, they tried telling us what we could and couldn't say on stage. And I said, there's no fucking way. Yeah. There's no fucking way that you're going to tell us what we're going to do on stage. If that were a condition of booking the show, we would have told you to go fuck yourselves, and we would have went with another venue.
So what is your take on these people in Antifa, like all that? Because I get takes from like Republicans and all that shit. Oh, no, they're bad people. Why not? Do you think there's some good eggs in there, or
I don't know?
Like they have some merit to what they're saying to some extent, or
I don't know. I mean, first of all, I don't personally know anybody that's in Antifa, so I can't really say anything about them. But I do think that the specter of Antifa is far greater than the reality of Antifa. And it's the exact same with the Proud Boys. Like, people are so afraid of the concept of the Proud Boys. And it's like, I've been meeting these guys around the country and hanging out with them for the last 18 months. And never once have the couple Proud Boys pulled me aside and been like, let's talk about the real plan. You know what I mean? Like, right. It's just, I think these are people who are passionate about their political beliefs. I can speak more to the Proud Boys side than Antifa side, but Proud Boys feel like they're losing their country. And when I say theirs, I mean like the America that we all grew up believing we would get to live in. Freedom of speech, personal freedom, sort of being left alone to worship the way you want to worship, to work the way you want to work, to raise your family and educate your kids the way you want to. And now all that's sort of being corrupted and co-opted, and they're pushing back. And I imagine that the Antifa people feel the same way on their side of whatever they think they're fighting for. So,
right. So, I mean, because nothing's black and white, there are some nuances, and there are some legitimate reasoning behind Antifa, why, with Proud Boys also, it's never just black and white. So it's very hard to kind of decipher that situation, what's going on with that.
Yeah, I think it's just sort of it's also impossible for me to be completely unbiased because there are some things that like Antifa people believe in that I'm just like adamantly against.
Right.
And so it's just sort of like I do think the irony of it is like the Antifa stands for anti-fascist, and then most of what they're doing is essentially fascism, right? Like calling the mayor and threatening to blow up the town if we don't do if they let us do a show there is fascism. Right? It's terrorism and it's fascism. And
aren't they supposed to be communists though, or some shit?
Yeah, not necessarily. Again, like not necessarily, right? Some of them are democratic socialists, which yank, what the fuck is that? Some of them I'm sure are communists. Some of them are just pure anarchists, right? Like most of the people that are like leftist to that degree that I've talked to, they just have a burn it all down mentality.
That is true. That is true. So let's dive a little bit into your podcasting career, if possible.
Sure.
So you said you were on NLO back in what year was that? Or Nobody Likes Onion?
2010.
2010. Okay.
Oh,
I
shit.
think that's when you guys could probably go back and trace when the very first Denny appearance was on NLO, but I think it was 2010.
How'd you get involved with NLO? Oh, go ahead, Dr. Chow.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how'd you start that up?
Yeah, how'd you get involved?
I just met Patrick at a show. So like I was running a show with my buddy Will C at the Hollywood Improv called Chunks and Punks, and Patrick came out one night to hang out, was trying to get a spot or whatever. And he might have been booked on the next month or something, but introduced himself and then invited me to come on his podcast. And similar situation like when I met Gavin, like Patrick and I just sort of hit it off, had very similar sense of humor and good rapport. And I just oftentimes when he would record, I would be in the city doing my day job, and if he'd had like a guest fallout or something, he'd be like, "Hey man, you around? You want to come do a show?" And he just kept doing it more and more and more, and then eventually, we were doing shows together at least once a week, sometimes twice a week, and then he would have like a random guest, the third show.
So how'd you fall into co-host? How did he approach you with that? And you became.
It was never an official thing. It was never an official thing. Like I just sort of fell into it, and he kept asking me to come do more shows, and I kept doing them.
Right, because you guys are basically like podcast forefathers at this point. Because what is it?
He is. Like I take no credit for any of the build. I will say that I take no credit for Patrick building what he did with Nobody Likes Onions. But I do think that the episodes that we did together in our prime were the best episodes of NLO that have ever existed. Like there are some very classic, great bits and segments from the show when I did it with him that are still like, I'll still go back and find clips
Watch
of
for
shit.
fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah, dude. And it'll still be like, those were some fun times. Like we had fun times doing that show.
Because I remember seeing on YouTube, what was it, the Red Bar call-in with you guys? Because that was kind of interesting, and everything like that. Because
it was kind of funny. Like I can't remember. I might have been talking with Ryan about this weekend, but it was like everybody sort of thinks that was like an organic thing for Mike to do, but at the time, like Mike and Patrick had this massive rivalry over who was going to be like the Opie and Anthony of podcasts,
right?
And they both, I can't remember what had happened. Like Mike had come into some money and Patrick had come into some money around the same time. And they both spent like 30 grand on gear and equipment and cameras and shit. Really make their shows look good.
True arms race.
And then I think, it was like an arms race. And then I think Mike was the one who had this idea of like, wait a minute, if I start treating podcasting like rap battling, I can grow my fan base bigger than Patrick's and bigger than all these other shows. And so that became his model, was like, I'm going to be the podcast that shits on other podcasts. And I'm going to start with Denny at NLO because I don't like him. And that's fine. But, when Patrick took NLO and kind of started to copy Mike and do the same thing where it just became a show about other shows.
Right. I
was like, dude, I don't want to do this. Like, I like when we riff on current events or we riff on comedy shit or we make fun of like what's going on in the world. I like
when you're demeaning and actually like really hurting people.
Well, yeah, but no, I don't give a fuck about really hurting people. I don't give a shit about that. I'm not like I don't hurt their feelings.
So you're not a soy boy.
But it is creatively lazy. And I say this all the time, and people can think what they think about it.
Right.
Mike is too fucking talented to do the lame ass shitty Wendy Williams show that he does for the world of podcasting. Like, he used to do original content back in the day that was really funny. And Patrick used to do original content back in the day that was really funny. And they're both fucking lazy, and they're both so afraid of being criticized that their answer to that is to just not create. See, if I just sit back and criticize everybody else and I don't create anything that can be criticized, then I'm safe. And that's pussy. It's pussy. Make a thing. Make a thing that people can say sucks or they love, but they don't do it because they just don't want to deal with being criticized. And I would rather make something that sucks and be criticized than sit back and make nothing.
Yeah. Well, I think you did a stand-up, right? A special or something recently?
Who, Patrick?
I think so.
Yeah, with 30 minutes of material he was doing a decade ago.
Oh, is that what it was? You recognize all that stuff from back
We
in the
were
day?
on the road for a year together.
Yeah.
We used to do shows together all the time in LA.
It's pretty
I
mad.
love this.
The bits he did on that, and listen, man, I was pulling for him because I know he's good.
Yeah.
Right.
And he also, when we would do shows together, and this was like one of the early things that I saw, and I talked about this. I did a podcast where I sort of like addressed all the fucking rumors and accusations and everything else over the years. Patrick used to do something that pissed me off because it's a total show of weakness. When he would have to follow me, he would get obliterated drunk because he didn't want the pressure of having to actually do as well as I did or better than me. So then if he ate shit, he could just go, well, I got too drunk and I couldn't perform. And that's a fucking pussy move. Like, when I go on the road and I take guys on the road with me, I take guys that are going to make my job harder. And if they bury me, that's my fault. And I need to work harder.
I mean, plus, how unprofessional is it to get hammered out of your fucking mind to do a show? I mean, come on, dude.
Yeah, I mean,
like, people are paying to watch you. Come on.
Yeah, dude. Well, so, you know, I noticed that pattern, and you know, like, I used to be like, dude, you need to write more. Like, you're so funny, and it's like, if you put an ounce of the energy you do into even now, like, the amount of hours that he spent talking about Aaron from fucking Steel Toe, if he would put 1/5 of that time, or Ty Rivera, if he would put 1/5 of that time into writing new material, he'd be fucking fantastic.
Right.
Like, in the last year, I've been on the road with Gavin and Ryan and stuff. I've written a whole new hour.
And that's a pedigree. That's a huge pedigree right there. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I'm like I've said before, you're doing your own fucking thing. You kind of, I would say, transcended upon, not transcended upon, but like transcended past these guys. You know what I'm saying? Because you were involved in this community at one point in time, and you kind of just outgrew it, and you cultivated such a great audience and whatnot, and your skills became fashion. You want to just go out there and, you know, just, I would say, what's the one I'm looking for? You just kind of went out there and just did your own thing and just started killing it, dude. It's insane to see, like, people get very comfortable in safe areas, in safe places that they're in, and you don't do that shit.
And his fan base got really mad at me because, like, and we had a pretty ugly ending to me being on his show because I was like, listen, dude,
tell me that.
Well, I think there's episode. I think you can see the episode of it, or the last 2 episodes of his show I did, where I was just like, look, man, you can do your career your way, where you sit back and talk shit about everybody and criticize everybody, and I'm going to do it my way. And then at the end of that, I said, and I bet I fucking beat you.
And you're fucking.
And I did. Like, again, I did. Yeah, again. So it's like, you know, the things that I've done and accomplished definitely outweigh the things he's done and accomplished. And
you're more of an imprint on, I would say, just a lot of people compared to him. Like, you've made an imprint in comedy to some extent.
Yeah, I would never try to say that I am a bigger podcaster or broadcaster than Patrick. I've also never aspired to be, but I'm a better comic than him today. I was a better comic than he was 10 years ago because I give a shit about it. And by the way, I will put my hour, my half hour, whatever, up against any motherfucker on earth. Right?
Yeah.
Like, that's how confident I am in that part of what I do.
And you know what? We appreciate confidence because that's what men do. They have confidence.
Well, if you don't have confidence, you're not working hard enough at the fucking thing that you're doing.
Damn straight. I love it.
Yeah.
So
that doesn't mean I don't still have bad sets. When I was on the verge of a heart attack, last month in Vegas, I had the worst set of the tour. But
what
you know what?
happened?
But what's amazing is I had that horrible set on Saturday, right? And then came back Monday, drove back from Vegas Monday to LA. I was exhausted. and I thought I was getting sick, and it turns out I was just on the verge of a fucking coronary.
Oh shit.
But that night, 9/11, I went to the End in Torrance to do a 9/11 show with my buddy Carl and Sam Tripoli and my buddy Nick Romero. And then I had the best fucking set I've had all summer, like writing new shit on the spot and fucking tweaking the old shit. And it was just like one of those magical nights of like, oh yeah, sometimes you got to have a fucking awful set where you eat shit. And then your next set right after that, you will grow 5 months of progress in bits and writing and material because you had to take that punch in the face. Like, look at UFC fighters. When they lose, how many of them come back even better than they were
all the fucking time?
Loss? Yeah.
It's a man thing. It's a man thing.
So it's kind of like that. And so, you know, I feel very good about where the act is now, the material, the shit that I have going. Like, I'm really looking forward to getting it down and putting out some content, some stand-up content in the next few months, and just kind of putting all the criticism to bed, right? Because at the end of the day, you can talk a big game or whatever, but for me, it's about putting out a half-hour special that is the definitive thing of like, okay, this guy's good at comedy. You can dislike all the other shit about me, but what I'll tell you're wrong about is I'm not bad at stand-up.
That's your art, you know.
I've had people come out to shows. Who don't really watch my show uncensored. They're Gavin fans or they're Anthony fans. Right. And they come out and they go, dude, I only know about you through like being guest on their shows and the Red Bar and NLO shit. And they're like, I'll tell you this, you're fucking good at stand-up. Like, they say it begrudgingly because they don't want to like me. And they have to fucking admit that I am good at the thing that they try to tell me I'm not good at.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's a lot of people find a show, especially in like our realm. We've got a bunch of people in the chat who are trolling us, and they've been trolling us since day one and all that type of stuff. But then after like 5-10 episodes, then they become a fan. They DM you and they're like, you know what? I kind of like what you're doing. You know, they kind of shift, you know?
Yeah. And it's funny too. I mean, like I don't take it personally anymore. Like it used to really piss me off. And what bothers me is when people lie about you. Like when people when they just lie about you, that's annoying. But you just have to realize that they're going to do that if they know it annoys you. So you can't expect those people are never going to care.
React.
So I just sort of let it go, and I don't think much of it. I think it's sad, dude. Honestly, like there's a couple guys like Xander, who's a diehard Red Bar fan. That motherfucker spends probably 40% of his life thinking about me. That's sick, dude. You have a fucking wife. Why don't you spend time with her, you creep?
There you go. Hey, I'm gonna take a piss real quick. Chow, take over the chat, all right? And the chat.
So, you know, it's just like those ones are always funny to me, or kind of sad, where it's like when people dedicate that much time to trolling me. But you know, and then on the flip side, you have the people that troll. And then like, yeah, when I mentioned to people about a month ago that I was like nearly hospital bound with heart shit, a few of them reached out and were like, hey, dude, we give you shit and we fucking hate your guts, but we don't want you to die. So get well, you know?
A lot of people find entertainment in it. So
yeah,
that's the thing. I mean, so when you went from, you met Melton and then you did NLO for a while, and then were you doing your own show, a podcast at that time, or
no? The whole time when I was on NLO with Patrick, I would always say like, dude, I'm happy. I'm totally content being the shotgun and the co-host for your thing. Like, you've built a cool thing. I feel appreciative being a part of it. And, you know, like, I have no desire to start my own podcast. Like, at one point he started a podcast network like Pantswise, and that was going to be his version of, the Death Squad, you know, and again, you know, that was, so again, it was like around the time that Red Band had started amassing a bunch of different podcasts, and he had a bunch of friends that he was starting to do podcasts on his network. Like Mike Bridenstine and Mike Burns had a Gentleman Scumbags podcast on Patrick's network. And I think there were a couple other ones I don't remember, but yeah, and he was like, you should do a show. And I was like, I don't have an idea for something. I'm not that passionate about it. Like, and still to this day, I will tell you, I am a way better second chair on a podcast than hosting a podcast. I just can't. I hate it. And I'm not good at it. I think I'm way better in the number 2 or number 3 seat. Like, I have way more fun sitting next to Gavin or Anthony on their podcast and being able to just chime in with jokes and bits and whatever than trying to like direct a show, right? I mean, that's one of the things that's kind of good about the sports show is that Carl is also a really good number 2, so I can kind of just steer him a little bit, and then he'll rant on stuff or whatever, or we'll get a good back and forth going. So Carl's probably the first person that I've done my own podcast with that I have that good, almost instant sort of ability to banter back and forth with since I used to do Patrick's show with him. So
that's awesome. Yeah, that's the thing. You kind of you mentioned Kumia. You're close with him, right? I saw the news that he recently had a similar situation to you, right? He had some heart issues.
You want to hear something funny? I talked about this in Nashville. I opened with it on stage this weekend. So we did the show Saturday. I had a terrible show, and I felt like shit the whole morning. And I thought I was getting COVID again. I've had it like fucking 6 times.
Fuck.
And I
Get
thought
the
I was
vaccine, bro. You'll be all right.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I got it. I'm great. So
I thought I was getting COVID again. So I felt sick, and I was like, I couldn't stop sweating, and I just like, I felt like I was gonna puke. And then so I went up and I started my set, and I was like, I couldn't get off. I couldn't get like the entrance right. Okay, and then some of the Proud Boys in the front were dudes who had been to the shows in Florida the month before, or 2 months before. So they had seen some of the shit I'm working on. And so they knew my premises, and they were jumping my premises in the front row and like fucking with my shit. And that also didn't help. So I was just like, I just couldn't get off, and I didn't have a very good set. But I did get one new bit out of it, which is now like a really funny chunk that I have. So I did get something cool out of that. But anyway, everybody left Sunday, and I stayed in town till Monday. So did Kumia and his brother Joe. And we were all supposed to get together and hang and play poker on Sunday. But I texted Joe and was like, "Hey man, I don't know if I'm getting sick or something's up, but I got like palpitations and I'm fucking sweating like crazy. I think I might have to go get checked out when I get back, and I'm hoping it's not something serious." And he goes, "Yeah, that's cool, man. Just feel better, whatever, and we'll catch up with you next time you're in New York." And then Anthony just replied, "Good job, faggot." You know what I mean? And he goes, "Good luck with all that, you pussy." Right. And then I find out. So I come back and I get checked. I like, just out of curiosity, I Googled, I have like pre-heart attack symptoms, and I was 8 for 8. So obviously then I go in, and they were like, "Listen, if you went to the hospital, they might be cutting you open." But ultimately, if you're trying to avoid getting like a stent put in, or trying to get like bypass surgery at 40 years old, which I'm trying to avoid, you're going to have to do the same thing. You're going to have to do the same thing no matter what. You're going to have to completely change your diet. You're going to have to really commit to exercising again and do all that shit. And so my plan was like, all right, I'll do all that. And then if I have a heart attack, then they can save my life or I'll die.
All right.
So the funny thing is then like 4 days after that, or maybe a week after that, I see the picture of Anthony in the hospital bed,
with a bypass,
and I'm like, what the fuck? And then so I talked to Gavin. Gavin tells me what's going on, and then I just text Anthony, "Who's the faggot now?"
Hey, be careful.
Like, are you in there for your heart, you fucking faggot?
You fucking pussy.
Yeah. Oh, what a pussy. Oh, cool. Oh, you had a bypass. Oh, okay. What
sweet.
Was it all clogged with jizz? So but
you're pretty tight with all these boys then now.
Yeah, I don't know, as tight as you are with your friends who live across the country.
Right, it's good joshing around. Yeah, you guys are pretty. You guys are friends now. What is it like not going on stage, but like watching these two? I would say greats, these two influential
icons.
The icons, exactly.
Yeah.
Icons in comedy and in the industry of entertainment and fashion. Which is Gavin McInnes.
Yeah. No, I thought you meant Anthony was the fashion. You don't think Anthony's the fashion?
Especially when he wore that Nazi helmet down in New York.
Yeah. My fashion's pretty good too, dude. No, I'm kidding.
Exactly. No, but what was it like for you
to
be in that moment, just seeing these icons in front of you, just and then talking and hang out with you afterwards, and you're just going to learn from them and grow with them? That must be insane.
Well, there's similarities between all three of us, and then there's a lot of ways that the three of us are different. Mine is mostly in that I'm much fatter than the both of them. But You know, like I like the show with the three of us together because we are very different. Like I'm sort of like a traditional joke writing stand up, and then Anthony's more of like a bitter old man ranting and pissed off, and then Gavin is just this incredible storyteller. So I feel like by being around two guys that comedically are very, very good, but they're completely different than I am, it sort of helps you broaden your skill set a little bit. It helps you become more well-rounded. It'd be like if you were a really great boxer and then you had an Olympic wrestler and a jiu-jitsu black belt come to your gym at the same time, and you all started sort of cross-training each other. So I'm a big like iron sharpens iron guy. I like to be out with people that are better than me at things that
helps you grow. I mean,
yeah, it just gives you perspective and makes you more well-rounded. But the thing I'll tell you is, there's never a lull in conversation around those guys. Like I feel like they could literally set the world record for a single conversation and how long they could go, because I think those guys could probably talk for like 100 hours without running out of shit.
Yes, of course. So what's your take on Ryan Rivera, honestly? Like, is he part, because you guys seem like you guys are closer in age, right? I'm sure like mid-30s.
We're closer. Ryan and I think, and I don't want to speak for Ryan, but I feel like Ryan and I are closer than I am with Anthony or Gavin, just because we are closer in age. I think Ryan and I both have a little bit more silly sense of humor than the other guys do.
You're young kids, yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean, I wouldn't
say we're kids, but compared to them, yeah, you know. But yeah, and also, dude, like Ryan, I will say this, like Ryan, as much as me, cares greatly about making sure that that the most important thing about these shows is that the fans feel appreciated and they feel like they really get the show that they paid to see. Yeah. And so he's kind of like my number one guy when it comes to helping me produce the shows and make sure they go off without a hitch. Like they're really our baby. Like he handles all the technical, all the run of show, you know, all of that stuff. And then I really handle more the business side, the booking, the logistics, the contracts, you know, that the money, that type of shit. But between the two of us, we really work well together. And I'll tell you what, like as much shit as Gavin gives Ryan is a fucking talented dude. He is the most talented producer of anyone's podcast. And to me, he's our secret weapon, because if you watch his show, if you don't watch his show on Censored and you don't know what a tremendous comedic mind he is and what a tremendous impersonator he is, you have no idea how fucking talented that guy is. And he is such a fucking talent. And again, like the iron sharpens iron thing, like being with Ryan, spending time with him, he helps me write stuff. He helps me like sharpen my bits. He helps me put my ideas together. So he's awesome, dude. I love Ryan to death.
No, I love it when Ryan trolls Gavin too, because like Gavin's such an old munching old man. It's great. I love to watch it. It's a great show, honestly. So,
but the one thing I really admire about Gavin is that there's no length he won't go to be funny or to see a bit through. Like
attack Ryan on the camera.
He'll just he'll like walk into a crowded room of people just completely naked because he thinks that's the funniest thing, and forcing people to react. Like he's one of the absolute best at forcing a reaction from an unwilling audience. And that, to me, there's like something so funny about that. And it's very different than my sense of humor and Anthony's sense of humor.
Well, this makes you guys such a great, I say quadruple, because you guys have all your different talents, and that kind of gives everyone a little spice of something different. You know, it's just not so bland on one thing. And that's what makes your guys' show so great. That's why your shows are making the news to some extent, because it's so good that they have to try and cancel it.
Yeah.
You know, like,
well, and that, somebody asked me that this weekend. Oh, it was Ryan. We were eating. We ended up going to one of the restaurants in Nashville. Dude, I've been doing so good on my diet and shit for a month, and then we went to Nashville, and then we just fucking.
You got to pick out a little bit.
We redlined it. We went to Hot Chicken on Wednesday. We went to the place that we did on my show.
Yeah,
and so you know, Ryan hadn't seen it, so I was showing him the episode while we were there, and there was a moment where you could tell there was an obvious cut of a really inappropriate joke.
Right.
And Ryan was like, "What was the joke?" And so I told him, and he was like cracking up. He goes, "Dude, I bet there were so many of those." I was like, "Man, there was a whole different show on the cutting room floor of like really funny fucking lines that they just couldn't keep in because it was too adult, or there was cursing or whatever." So, you know, but it was fun, man.
I got a question that you've kind of brought it up a couple times about your diet. and what you eat and all that type of stuff. So what do you like to eat?
Everything.
So you like to eat? You eat all day, that type of thing.
I mean,
Why don't
yeah, bro, it got really bad. It got really
Bro,
bad.
it got really bad.
Why don't you do a mukbang video?
Yeah, people said that all the time. Like, why don't you just take the food shit to the internet? And I was like, I don't know. I just, again, it was never my intention to be a food guy. You know, and so while I could have come out of ginormous food and been like, hey guys, today I'm at fucking Wendy's in Compton. Like, I could have done content like that and built a huge following or whatever else. But it's like, I could also go on OnlyFans and open my asshole and build a huge following for people that like that too. It's not what I want to do.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
So yeah, dude, but no, now I mean, like, now I actually that I'm trying to eat healthier and stuff, and I'm doing more cooking and I'm becoming more finesse with like plating and shit. I actually am putting more food content online.
Some Chef Ramsay shit right here, bro. All right.
But my diet lately is completely changed. Like I'm basically like no sugar, no grain, mostly like salads. The little bit of grain I do is like oatmeal for the beta glucan and just trying to break up the fucking sludge in my heart and trying to get all that out of my body. But you know, that's your
workout schedule. What's your workout schedule like?
I put in like 30 a day on an exercise bike. Like I've always liked cycling versus
so you get your heart pumping and get the
blood flowing. Dude. Yeah, I get her up to like 140, 150, you know. My morning routine is usually like now for the last month. I'll wake up, I'll put on an episode of Curb, I'll pedal the bike through that, and then I have a little bowl of oatmeal.
You love breakfast. Larry David?
Love Larry David.
Dude, Curb Your Enthusiasm, bro. That's probably better than Seinfeld in my opinion.
It is. It is. I mean, they are great in their own regard. But
I can't fuck with it, dude. That laugh track, dude, it kills me.
But but it's probably because it's before your time.
I hate laugh tracks, bro. I hate.
Yeah, but you're too young. Like, but that was all there was.
I'm too young. The laugh track is fucking fake as fuck.
They didn't do Yeah, but they didn't do single cam comedy back then.
All right.
They didn't. The single camera comedy didn't exist in the '90s. I think the first one was like fucking Spin City or some shit.
No, for sure. It was back then. It was a phenomenon. You know, Seinfeld. I remember everyone watched it. I remember the final episode. I was at basketball practice when it happened, and it was big news the next day and all that type of stuff. And so it's just time and place, you know. Things change now the single camera stuff is super popular.
I love it. Yeah. So I really liked I like them both. I think they're very different, but I do like Curb. The fucking Meet the Blacks episode.
Oh, dude, that shit's so fucking funny, dude.
What is that, season 6 premiere when he's like the very first episode with JB Smoove.
Dude, JB Smoove is so fucking funny in that show, dude. Holy shit.
When he think he was jerking off in the bed and he's like there's a certain substance on the blanket, and he's like, what kind of substance? What are we talking about, Larry? And he's like, ejaculate. He's like, what the fuck is ejaculate? It's so fucking fun. They're dynamic, dude. Like, it's right beautiful. Away, they were phenomenal together.
I think Larry David probably enjoys that show a little bit more, though. You know, than Seinfeld.
Oh, of course. I mean, it's him.
Do you remember when they had what's his face that did the N-word bullshit? I forgot.
Michael Richards,
Kramer.
Yeah, they had Michael Richards on Curb Your Enthusiasm. And they tried doing the
reunion.
Alexander, and they tried doing the Seinfeld reboot or whatnot. Remember that shit?
Yeah, and then there's the scene at the end of it where he's like yelling at the craft services guy, and he goes, "You people can't get anything right." And it's a black dude, and then everyone's looking, they're thinking he's having the Kramer 2.0 moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
I love that shit. But let's get back into you though, real quick. So, modern day, you're killing it on the road with the icons of Gavin McInnes, Anthony Cumia, and Ryan Katzer-Rivera. You know, you're in your own lane. Your guys are doing great shows. You know, only tweakers are canceling you guys here and there. What kind of what inspired you to start doing not what inspired you? So how is your podcast going? That your own personal podcast,
the sports show?
Yeah. How's that going for you?
Yes, it's good.
Good news and everything like that.
Yeah, I mean, we do.
Are trolls coming in there and trying to attack you all the fucking time still, or no?
No, I mean, first of all, the when we do the live episodes, it's generally only streamed through Twitter and through Censored's like website. So and we don't have a dedicated producer like looking at comments on Censored, so I don't even know. I couldn't tell you if we're being trolled. Probably. But yeah, we just do our show, man. We just do our show. And it's good. I feel like we are kind of coming into a groove, right? I think we're like 40 episodes, so we're about a year into it, and I feel like we're really kind of hitting our stride in terms of like what our show voice is, if that makes sense.
Well, here's something interesting I wanted to ask you also was, so I remember watching the old like Red Bar NLO tapes you guys used to have when you were on there, and you back in 2010 and whatnot.
When I was thin.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I think about that clip, that Red Bar clip of Mike calling in. I was like, man, I was 217 back then. Those are the good days.
Damn, bro. Here you go. But I was thinking about it. I was just like, damn, you guys were all at your primes. Just on podcasting. Obviously not yours in comedy, but on podcasting, it was a very prime era, right? There was no censorship. You guys could honestly just be guys and just josh around, fuck with each other, and do your thing, right? What is your take on just kind of watching, let's say, Red Bar and NLO kind of just regulate and, let's say, censor themselves to some extent to the point where it's not the same show compared to back then? Is it kind of disturbing in your mindset?
Are they doing that? Do you think they're censoring them? I don't think they're censoring themselves.
I think a little bit, yes, because I don't know. What I saw from past times, maybe, but I could be wrong. I mean, I don't know, man.
Honestly, like, it's so, you know what it is? I can't watch either of those shows because it's sort of like jumping into, no, I'll tell you why. It's sort of like jumping into Game of Thrones season 7. Like, there's so much backstory now that you have to know to be able to enjoy the show. Like, I don't know who any of these people are. Like, I don't know shit about fucking stuttering John Melendez. I don't know shit. Like, half of the dudes that Red Bar covers, I don't know who they are. They're YouTube guys, like fucking the Mike whatever from Logan Paul's. I don't know
anything or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that world. So like, it's like a homework assignment. You know what I mean? And it's the same thing with Patrick. Like, Patrick's now in with like the MLC guys, Misery Loves Company guys, and I only know Brennan. I don't know Lou. I don't know
Pat.
I vaguely
Joey
know Aaron.
C.
Bob Levy.
I only know Aaron from Steel Toe because my buddy Corey was his co-host for so long. So that's the only reason I know. Yeah. That's the only reason I know anything about them. But like, I really don't consume podcast shit, and I don't know the universe enough to really even be able to enjoy that world.
I got a question for you that a chatter said. Who is bigger, you or Melton?
Well, I mean, he's way taller than me, so he's always going to weigh more than me. But I'll tell you what, there's definitely a period. There's definitely, I haven't seen him in like 7 or 8 years in person.
Oh, okay.
But I could tell you, when I was at my fucking fattest, I was probably a higher body fat percentage.
You had him beat? Nice.
Dude, I posted a photo of myself on Twitter like a month ago, and it was like me and Bobby Bacala, and my belly was the same fucking way, dude. Like, yeah, I don't know. Also, I don't care. Like,
no. Why would you care though? You're above them. That's my thing. That's like, it's in your past. So obviously, you have to answer it, and like talk about once in a great while.
Also, people do this with me and Vito Gesualdi all the time. Like, which one of you guys is fatter? I go, none of us are out. None of us have set out to be the most fuckable man in any building anywhere ever. So if you care about how physically, sexually attractive we are, there's
something wrong with you. I love it. My
body is not a tool for my trade, so why should my body be good, right? And that was my mentality for so long. That's why I treated it like a shitty apartment, right? So it's just like, I treated my body for a long time like a fuck palace that you keep on the side to cheat on your wife
temple.
with.
Now that's Jesus Christ. Okay, hang on. You kind of went into a spiral there, but I want to bring us back for a second here. So I know you have these haters all the fucking time. Like, they're in our chat right now talking crazy shit. It's whatever.
Yeah, dude. I just clicked over to it. Their trolls.
I just clicked over to
their trolls are from like a decade ago.
I know. That's my thing. Like, do you have anything fucking new to say?
Yeah, you got nothing new. The fucking NLO plane crash thing is from 2014.
What was that?
Yeah, there's a bunch of people talking about that.
I have no idea what that is.
Yeah, and actually the story's from 2011. Okay. So, you know, I've talked about this so many fucking times, but it's the whole legend of this is based on an argument. Legend. Yeah, it's based on an argument Melton and I had flying back from New York, where we were arguing over gear up landings. And anybody who knows Patrick on a personal level knows that he's a fucking know-it-all about everything.
He is, yes.
You know, like if you talk about him anything technical, and it could be the thing, you could have a degree in it. And he's like, I know more about that than you. You know what I mean? So I had happened to see like gear up landing done in my travels at the Philadelphia airport, probably like 3 or 4 years before that. Might have been longer than that. And when we were arguing about the way they work on the plane, he was like, oh yeah, what were you, fucking in one, you faggot? And I go, yeah, pussy, I was in one. I was in one. I go, look it up, Philadelphia. And I gave him the year or whatever. And then so later, it was like many years later, we were having an argument and he was like trying to corner me about being like deceitful or dishonest about things. Because he always, this was what the real crux of this was. Patrick and a lot of other people always assumed that I didn't drink because I was a recovering addict or alcoholic.
But you never drank, right?
Never did. Never
Not once.
And no, and my answer was always like, yeah, everyone in my family is either an alcoholic or a drug addict. So that's why I didn't do it my whole life growing up and never got into it. I was like, yeah. So, and he was like, you let me believe that you were fucking recovering. I go, I think you just assumed that. I wasn't like, well, I'm on my way to my AA meeting for the week, guys, and I'm driving through the Del Taco drive-through 4 times to kill time.
Right. With a taco in your hand.
But anyway, so like we're having this conversation about you know, like embellishment and bits, and then he played this act where he was like so betrayed that he felt like he was misled to believe that I was a recovering drug addict or alcoholic. And then he's like, oh yeah, so that's the truth, just like the fucking plane crash you were in. And again, I was like, he made it sound like in that moment that I had told him a Steve Ranazizi story about me being in a plane crash when he knew that wasn't the case. And he knew what we were talking about was the fucking gear up landing argument. And so in that moment, I just go, no, you fucking idiot. Of course I wasn't in a plane crash.
I mean, my thing
but
is...
then he sort of uses that without ever being honest. He's never been honest with his audience about the fact that it was the gear up landing argument. He always just refers to it as the plane crash story. And then Red Bar does the same thing. So it's like, find a video of me declaring myself having ever been in a plane crash, and I will show you the best piece of AI that's ever been made, because it didn't fucking happen.
And even if it did, like, even if you did say it or whatever, you know, to placate to them, it's a throwaway sentence. Honestly, at the end of the day, like, you're just joshing around, you're doing a fucking show.
The gear up landing thing wasn't even on the show. It was just me, him, and his ex-girlfriend at the time. What was her name? Laura or something. And she's standing right next to us when it happened. And we were just arguing in the back of a fucking plane for the audience of 3 rows. Like, it's just like, it was a dumb fucking thing. And then, you know, what he did was, because he felt so stupid, rightfully so, for making an assumption about, and by the way, the real reason he was embarrassed about this, and I think this is the first time I've ever said this to people on a show, the real reason he was embarrassed about this is because Patrick was more uncomfortable with the fact that I didn't drink than I was, or the other people were, because he's such a peer pressure caving faggot. So when we would go out places and I wouldn't drink, he would lie to other people and tell them that I don't drink because I used to and I had a problem with it, because he didn't want to go. My friend just doesn't drink because he doesn't want to, because everyone he grew up around with were drug addict losers, and he didn't want to become that, right? Because then he feels like he's saying, well, if I drink and do drugs, I'm a loser, or if they drink and they do drugs, they're losers, and that's the mentality, right? So he lied to other people and told them that I had some substance problem in the past. So rather than admit that, he tried to make it sound like he was misled on that, and then use the gear up landing plane crash thing as a way to try to strengthen his argument of like, well, remember, you also said you were in a plane crash? And I go, no, I didn't say that. And the only thing I said this many times, the only thing I ever regret with the Melton shows was like, I wish I fucking had the arguments that I had with him offline on his show, because when we would get off the show, I go, there was no fucking plane crash story. Why did you present that like that? He would go, oh, it makes the show better. It's like more dramatic that we're arguing and that we're having these
character.
fights. Yeah, and I just go, oh, okay. Until it becomes the legacy and then everybody thinks it's real many years down the road. So again, like, I'm so exhausted from talking about it because even with that totally truthful, honest explanation, people are still going to go in.
Sounds like another lie.
Yeah. They're going to go in someone else's thing and go, ask them about the plane crash. And then you guys did it and I answered it and they win. So we're all faggots.
Yeah, I'm a faggot. Everyone, I'm a faggot.
And that's the thing. You guys, so this was not like almost 10 years ago at this point, right? And people still remember it.
The actual
fuck at this point.
The actual conversation happened in 2011.
Yeah, so God. It's wild.
The actual argument, and then he brought it up and framed it as the plane crash story when I told him I was leaving the show forever in 2014.
Right. So I got a crazy question for you then. Like, what for you? You had all these you had all this shit going on. I'm trying to word this properly for you so you can understand. So you're on like NLO, you
melt cheese over your words, and I'm sure I'll figure out how to stomach them.
Don't worry, baby, I got you. All right. I'll make sure to slur a little bit, but you're on these shows like NLO. You talk to Mike Red Bar and shit like that. You know about Red Bar and all the garbage.
Yeah, we did his comedy club before it went out of business.
So yeah, you know what I'm talking about. So you're in, these people very well, and you dealt with them before.
Yeah.
What is the difference in maturity and professionalism dealing with Gavin McInnes, Anthony Cumia, and Ryan compared to these gentlemen? Like, is it night and day?
I'm not going to try to pretend and tell you that it's that different. I will tell you that the only difference is
the honesty, though.
No. The only difference is that Anthony and Gavin spend way more time trying to create their own shit. And they spend way less time talking about what other people are doing.
Right.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I mean, that format, that Red Bar really made it popular. And
dude, he's the godfather of that. Yeah, he is the godfather of the podverse now in terms of podcast about podcast.
And there's some funny stuff out there.
That's my knock on Brennan. Brennan, why are you trying to be the next Red Bar? You're a comic. Be a comic. Create. And that's all Brennan's trying to do with MLC is to be Red Bar.
Well, his thing's kind of morphed. He likes to fight with everyone, but his show has really just become reading chats from his fans that are like
that
jokes,
sounds
basically.
Exciting. Is there a way I could subscribe to that and spend money on it?
Well, the people who give him money, people pay him to read their comments, and they get like a rush from it or whatever. So
read their shit.
I think he's doing well. I don't know how long. As long as people are paying, it's a show, but it's very dependent on the flow of that right now.
I just want to know how you guys think you can do a podcast without having a broken glass sound effect every 30 seconds. What the fuck do you guys think you're doing? What are you, amateurs? You're supposed to have an iPad and make it go every 5 seconds because that carries a show for 8 hours. What are you guys doing?
Yeah, we just try to, get fucked up and ask questions.
We get fucked up and ask questions, man. And
don't you know the difference between? Don't you know you're supposed to spend $100,000 on a studio and have sound effects?
I know, man. These flags ain't cutting it, bro. I've been attacked for being pro-Britain. I don't know.
I spent way over 100 G's on those. I'll tell you that, bro.
On the what behind you?
The watches, yeah.
Oh yeah, is that what's in those boxes? Watches?
Yeah, hell yeah, dude.
It might as well be dildos. Who knows what's in those boxes? Or in those boxes, right?
Exactly.
Do I have to be a watch guy to recognize what those boxes are?
I don't know.
Exactly.
I mean, they're Rolex and Patek, so.
Exactly. So, Josh, go ahead. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
No, nothing.
Perfect. Okay. So, Josh.
Hey, listen, man, you be into things you're into. Like, I'm not saying don't like watches. I'm just saying I would have no idea that those boxes have watches in them.
Yeah, you gotta step up your bank account before you start learning about that stuff, bro.
Yeah, well, I'm sure the first thing I'll do with my money when I get some is spend it on something that tells me the time, and only the time.
I love Josh. Dude, Josh is a savage, man.
I gotta bust your balls a little bit, man.
Yeah, that's right.
I can take it. Yeah.
Not like a lot of these tweakers in the chat. But anyway, let's get back into you though. So you're killing it on your podcast, you're killing it on your shows. Do you have any like future or present endeavors that you're trying to like promote or anything like that? Anything
No, man,
crazy?
we got Dallas this week. That's it. That's the last
Nice.
show of the tour.
Okay.
2 shows Friday, 1 show Friday, 1 show Saturday. I'm also running my hour on the late shows Friday and Saturday and Sunday.
Are you guys still hiding like venue names and shit or no?
Yeah, I mean for that tour we are, but
Why?
Because people call the mayor and have the show shut down and cost us tons of money. That's why.
I get that, but at the same time, aren't you kind of like buckling to their hate, kind of hiding your shit?
No, we're not buckling to their. How is that buckling to their hate? We're keeping them from fucking with our money. How is that?
Shouldn't you be
Is
proud
playing
to say
defense
we're
gay?
here?
Is playing defense gay? Are we supposed to just let them score? And
No.
we
You
score
can play defense, but my
Right.
thing is, you should be a stout D line and say, "Come get me, I'm here."
Yeah, but
Right?
it's not up to us. We don't own the venues, so all we're trying to do is keep the venues from caving and costing us a lot of money.
Okay, so let's get into venues then real quick.
And we also have a responsibility to protect our fans.
Don't they kind of know what they're getting into though when they come to your guys' shows?
No, I don't think so. I think some do, but there's a lot of people that are casuals, just like there are with everything. Like
That's true.
there's a lot of people that are more Anthony fans than Gavin fans who don't really know the extent of the Proud Boys shit as much as you would think they would.
Yeah.
And vice versa. There's a lot of like diehard Gavin fans that don't know shit about Anthony or anybody on his network or anything. So
right. So
What do you say about the ages of the fans? Because I've seen some clips of Kumia. It seems he's got like a little bit of older fans, and then I think maybe Gavin's a little younger.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah,
that makes sense.
I'd say there's like, and then it's our fan bases are such a weird convergence of people because Anthony's fans are all like probably over 45. They're probably between 45 and 70. And then yeah, dude, we've had some like there's people in their 60s and 70s come out to the shows too.
God damn, all right.
And then Gavin surprisingly has like a lot of really young fans, but the Proud Boy fans they range from like 21 to probably 60. And then my fans are all like old metalheads.
That's awesome.
So
dude.
like when my guys come out, my guys are the long-haired guys wearing band t-shirts or Kramer t-shirts. Yeah, dude. My guys were roadies for Soundgarden. Like
Chris Cornell, like, hey, is he?
Yeah. So like, and a lot of the fans that I have that show up are guys I've known since I played music. You know what I mean?
Cool,
like, yeah. So like I don't know. And then we are getting more, like I'm getting more. I'd say the sports show is the first thing that's kind of building its own fans that I've done. Yeah. So we actually have like sports fans that like the show that are censored guys that come out now too. And so we're kind of just meeting those new fans and kind of figuring out who they are. So which is kind of cool because like our fans in LA are like the sports fans are like all diehard like Latino Raider fans and shit. So
yeah, of course.
That's kind of and we kind of pulled some of those guys from Tripoli's fan base because that's like his entire fan base are like
Latinos,
fucking conspiracy Latinos from Los Angeles. Yeah. It's like, dude, like I'm telling you, like I'm not saying it's flat, but it could be.
I'm telling you, I can mow your lawn for pennies, not dollars.
I rolled a marble down the street; it didn't go nowhere, so the Earth's probably flat, dude. Like that's like those are Tripoli's fans, and they're cool guys as well. Like they're just fucking funny, man. So yeah, like
Josh Denny, I thought you meant pennies.
Josh Denny, what you doing? Like, why you wear Flyer jerseys, dog? Like, you're in Kings country, dude. Oh, don't you like the Kings?
Don't you like the Kings?
Yeah, dude.
Holy
so
shit,
yeah, so we get some of those guys coming out to shows now, and then also it's been cool that Dick Masterson and Vito have like brought me into their world a little bit as well, and they have their own kind of fans in it, which are like very fucking like autistic incelly podcast fans, you know what I mean? Which are like diehard savages, but they're cool. A lot of those guys have been pretty cool too. Like we did a live show with them for The Biggest Problem like last November or something, and that was a good time too. So I don't know, man. We're just sort of like we're building it slowly but surely. But the sports show is the big thing I'm working on now, and then my hope is to do a special here in the next couple months.
Awesome.
Where do you want to do the special at?
Well, I was going to do it in Nashville, but that's out. That's out after what happened this weekend. So
Go ahead.
No, we'll reconfigure that. I'll probably end up doing it at Vulcan in Austin because I really love that venue too. So, okay. And the owner's a cool guy.
Have you been down there since this whole mega setup in Austin becoming the capital of comedy has happened?
Yeah, we did Austin in June.
Nice.
June 16th we did Austin. Great show, man. We had
Austin, yeah,
it was good. We had
hot as hell, probably.
No, I'm looking at the numbers. We had like 100. It was hot. It was hot as fuck. We had like 160 people, something like that.
Nice.
In Austin, or it might have been more. I gotta look. That's not the right number.
Have you guys ever tried like performing at Joe Rogan's venue at all, or no? You guys?
So I will tell you, I reached out to guys to see about doing it at Rogan's, and I just think Rogan is just what I don't like about people on the right or anybody who claims to be sort of free speech is they all love to put Gavin to the right of them so that they look less extreme. And I would put Rogan in that camp too. Like I think Joe face to face with Gavin would be very nice to him and
they have
very
great
friendly.
episodes.
Yeah, very friendly to him and everything. Yeah, but I think from a business perspective and a political perspective, Joe will never be in the same room with Gavin because he doesn't want to be. He wants to be able to say like, "I'm not that extreme." You know what I mean? Even though we all know that's horseshit.
Well, that's the thing. You remember what happened with the pandemic? He had a couple guys on, and then there's like a coordinated attack on him, and he had to kind of walk a tightrope, and there's all those clips coming out about Rogan. So I don't think he wants to mess around with that anymore. He's not. I think he's just trying to lay low. I haven't watched this show in years, but
well, we kind of joked like so when we did Vegas last year. Rogan was out there doing the UFC. Shane was out there. Berg and Lewis had a show that weekend. Like almost everybody in the sort of like free speech comedy world were in Vegas that same night.
The manosphere of comedy.
Yeah. And Rogan invited Kumia to come hang out, and neither Gavin or myself or Ryan were invited. And I assume, Anthony smoothed that over as best he could, but I assume it was because Joe just didn't want to be seen with Gavin because he's afraid of what kind of labels they'll hurl at him for it. So, and listen, man, I just think, if that is the case, I think it's kind of pussy. Honestly, like you're the biggest man in media. You can hang out with whoever the fuck you want to hang out with. Now, if you just don't like the guy and you don't want to hang out with him, then say that. But I just got the feeling like, because when you hear Anthony tell the story, he's like, yeah, Joe loves you. Like he'll say to Gavin, he'll be like, yeah, dude, he loves you. But I think, I think it's a calculated decision of like, well, that could be the thing that could cost him the Spotify deal, right? And he doesn't want to chance it. I think he's like, I have Alex Jones. I can only have one really volatile, friendship.
Well, because he had done his show back in the day before and they were some of the funniest episodes. Rogan's laughing his ass off at everything Gavin's saying, and they're great. So I think it's more just the public optics and the risk.
Like, has Steven Crowder been on Joe Rogan yet, or no?
Back in the day, he used to be on.
Yeah, not since he was on with Not Gay Jared the last time.
Dude, what do you think about Steven Crowder and all that bullshit going on with him, man? What's your take on that?
All I'll say is anybody who's gone through a really bad breakup or divorce can relate to the Crowder situation. I've said some horrific shit to women as I was breaking up with them as well. So.
Right.
I don't really judge that. I don't know him personally, and I don't know his wife at all. So for me to sit back and be like, you know what I think about fucking Crowder's ordeal, it's just stupid. I can tell you, I can create a scenario in my head. This is a horrible thing to say, and this is going to get clipped. I can create a scenario in my head where every bitch has deserved whatever she's gotten in her life. Like even the Ray Rice situation when he decked her and she went out cold. I can imagine shit, bro. He said something that warranted such a response.
He got canceled from the NFL for that shit, bro.
I know. Yeah. So, and that was brutal and it was devastating. and on paper, right? 30,000 feet, we can all look at it and go, it's wrong. Like Ray Rice hitting there's no reason.
It's very wrong.
Everyone's going to say there's no reason for a man to hit a woman like that. And then my brain goes like, I could probably think of 2 or 3 reasons why that would happen.
Shit. Okay. Yeah. Let's move away from the.
Yeah, can we touch on a guy I'm fond of, Mr. Ye, Mr. Kanye West?
Yes, let's see that.
Yeah.
I'm a huge stan of his. So, and when I found out that you got to have a phone conversation and meet him and all this stuff, I was like, wow, man, that's crazy. How'd that come about?
Yeah, that was a fucking wild month. That was like, it all kind of happened around the end of our tour last year. And he went through, when he was going through his shit of being canceled or whatever. Right. And you can go back and find this on Twitter, but I had this sort of like this existential thought. Like I don't know how much you guys like look at your lives and go like, what was the purpose of any of the shit that I've gone through? Because I do try to find meaning in all of it. Mm-hmm. And I was sort of thinking like, man, I wonder if the reason I've gone through this cancellation shit and I have this weird background working for a shoe company and everything is because I'm supposed to meet this guy and work with him on shit. Because it sort of our stories almost felt like they had converged at that point of like being canceled. And then like, I have this background in footwear. He's trying to start his footwear company on his own. Like maybe we're supposed to meet. So I just put it out on Twitter. I was like, let me put it out on Twitter. Hey, Candace, like, both of us, if we're supposed to be put in content or into contact with each other, you'll see this, you'll get involved and it'll all come together. And it did. And so like, she literally texted me like probably like the day after I posted that and was like, I'm going to give him your number if that's okay. And I was like, yeah, dude, give my number. And I assumed I would get a call from like a guy who works for a guy.
Right.
For a guy who works for Ye. And the next day it was like 4 p.m. I got a call from an unknown LA number and he was like, what's up? It's Ye. And I was just like, holy shit, dude.
Like, goddamn, what the fuck?
Like in 24 fucking hours, this all comes together. So I literally just jumped on the phone with him and started talking and, and he had done, what amazed me was like, he had done all his homework on who I was before he talked to me.
Right.
And which it doesn't take long. He probably Googled me and clicked 2 articles and was like, yeah,
he's all right.
Dude says nigga sometimes. All right.
He seems like a nice white boy.
Yeah. So, and then yeah, we talked for like an hour about being canceled and he did most of the talking and then got right into shoes and was like, what do you know? Who do you know? What do you think is the best approach? He had me put a business plan together for him in like 30 minutes. And like, he was like, if we started Yeezy tomorrow, how would you run it? What would you do? Go.
Right.
Put it to me on a single slide and get it to me in 30 minutes. And I was like, okay. And it's funny because like, that's an insane ask of a dude you just met and talked to. But then when I looked at it, I go, well, this is why he's a fucking billionaire genius. Is because he demands this not only of other people, but of himself. Yeah, dude. And so it really like that timeline of all that stuff was really good for my life because, I was really in a down spot with these shows getting canceled and feeling like we were losing the cancel war. And then to have the most famous guy who's currently being canceled reach out to you and be like, let's talk, let's connect. Like, what can we do? And, there was no ego in the sense of like, never once did he ever diminish me. Right. Like he'll talk himself up on the phone, but like he makes everyone he's on the phone with feel like they can play a part.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so, and it's like, I think that's why his supporters and people are so loyal to him is because he's a fucking slave driver when it comes to what he demands and what he wants and how fast he wants it. But it's also why he's able to pivot and do such cool shit on short notice all the time is because, the people who stay around him are conditioned to work like that.
Right.
So yeah, we talked and we kept working on things. And then, I mean, I don't know how closely you guys follow what was going on at that time, but like the Adidas lawsuit,
the interview they did and all that shit. Go ahead.
Yeah. The Adidas lawsuit kind of froze everything we were working on at the time and we could work on at the time. And so one of the last conversations I had with him, he was like, hey man, with this money being frozen and me trying to figure out how I'm gonna, pay the bills and keep shit going and keep everybody employed, I can't bring anybody new on. And I was just like, hey man, like, you don't have to give me a job for us to be friends. Like, the handful of conversations we had and the meeting we had face to face and stuff, like those moments at the end of last year were life changing for me in terms of the way I looked at myself and my business and what I ask of myself and how much I believe in myself or haven't believed in myself in my life. And, so I looked at that situation as like, I was meant to meet him because that meeting and that interaction served what I meant to go on and do on my own. Right. And so I think you kind of have to look at that. And it did sort of like, it changed my life in the sense that like it gave me faith in God and purpose in a way where it was like everything is for a reason, and it's probably never going to be the reason you think it is, or maybe the most immediate reason or the most obvious reason. But it is for a reason and it is for a purpose. And I just thought it was a really cool thing. And I still talk to I don't know if you follow any of like the Kanye people on Instagram or whatever, but my friend Emily runs Kanye's posts on Instagram, and she has a podcast. And she just had my buddy Steven Smith on, who's the guy who runs Donda. He's like the head designer for Donda and Yeezy. And he was kind of like he was like my main contact. So like I talked to Ye probably 5 or 6 times total. And but I talked to Steven almost every day for like those 2 months of like working on shit and planning shit. And we just couldn't get movement going on anything because of all of this stuff. So we've all stayed in contact. I haven't talked to Ye since the end of last year.
Yeah, when he went dark for a bit.
Yeah.
And then he went to I think he went to Japan too.
Yeah, pretty much when he went to Bianca, when he and Bianca got married, he's been on like a honeymoon for the last year and then working music as we're all seeing and watching at the same time. But I keep tabs on like what he's doing and what's going on and where the company's at through Steven. Like I just talked to Steven like last week or whatever, and then we still talk pretty regularly because we have interest in stuff away from shoes and business and and like we're both into guitars and we like the same music, and we're both pretty like anti-cancel culture and pretty based. And so we have Steven and I get along great and have great conversations that have nothing to do with Ye. So, but one of my favorite moments with him was when I sent him a joke that made him fucking cringe. He's like, that's too far even for me. That's why you're the musician and I'm the comedian, my friend.
That's right.
I love it. Yeah,
I love it because like I'm looking at this person right here, and this kind of like I just want your take on this. Honestly, it's like as a man to man, I'm gonna show this comment real quick. This individual says, "What is it? This story is such bullshit." No, it's not. You can just tell that men who are actually trying to succeed in something and actually do something with their lives don't explain shit like this. This is something that you are actually witnessing from Denny that you really don't see a lot in life. You will be surrounded by a lot of fools, a lot of people who want to keep you down and want to just misery loves company at the end of the day, like Kevin Brennan's show,
Well, it is.
Hang on. And it's just sickening to me to watch these people shit on you and just say this horrible shit. At the same time, you've outgrown NLL, you've outgrown Red Bar, you've outgrown a lot of things in life that are just very, I would say, minuscule and very materialistic. You're at a point in your life now where you're actually transcending. You're doing something that is for the better good. You're involving yourself with people. What you have to do at some point in time, you have to involve yourself with these people because they're not just going to accept you in. You have to prove yourself, and you're doing that. And it's something amazing to see because I think Dr. Chow is going to talk about this because you're very successful also, in your own endeavors. And it's just, you have to put yourself out there. You have to want to be successful at the end of the day. And a lot of people don't like that. And they don't want you to be successful. And honestly, it's cool to see because Josh, I'm going to be honest with you. From like, because I don't know you very well. I only know you through Ryan Castro Rivera, but I've seen your shit on YouTube and people just shitting on you all the time saying you're fake, you're a bullshit motherfucker, you're a bullshit artist, all that garbage. And then Ryan was talking about, I do hold Ryan in high regards compared, because who he surrounds himself with. He's a very higher individual. He respects his time, and he's going to put it towards the people who respect him also. And when he was able to get us on, I was kind of excited to actually really meet who you are as an individual. And I just want to say thank you for kind of inspiring possibly the people who aren't trying to troll, but who are really just wanting to listen, because you have a lot of great stories to tell. And I do want to say thank you for coming on, because it's just amazing so far what you're saying. You have a lot of shit to say, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, well,
you're inspiring.
Man,
I don't know. You can laugh all you fucking want, man. But
I mean, I don't try to be, but if I am, that's cool. But I'll just say this: like, what I think is so funny is these people can go back and look at every time I've ever told this story and any story, and none of it ever changes. Like, I can't remember what the quote is. Like, I could sit here and Google it and then act like a fucking know-it-all, but I don't remember it. I think it's a Lincoln quote or something, but it was like, no man has a good enough memory to lie all the time and never be caught. It's something like that.
Yeah.
But like, you guys can go back and look at every time I've ever talked about any of these things. The story never fucking changes. And I'm not looking at a script that remind me of lies. Like, the reason that the story never changes is because all I do is tell the fucking truth about everything. And I have no reason to lie or to say things that aren't true. And by the way, don't you think that if I've invented, this whole fucking thing, that there probably wouldn't be pictures of me and Stipe before we met up with Ye back in November last year? Don't you think Steven wouldn't be talking about me on Emily's podcast? Don't you think, like, it's just amazing to me? And really, I'll tell you what it is. The thing that pisses the Red Bar people off the most is because Kanye forever was Mike's hero and therefore their hero. And the idea that their hero respects me enough to have conversations with me about things that he's working on fucking infuriates them, right?
Well,
and there's nothing they can do about it. Sorry, guys, but your hero likes me and he doesn't know who Mike is at all.
And that's the thing, dude. In both circumstances, you took the initiative to create the ask or reach out with Gavin and Kumia, and then with Ye as well. Like, you were just like, okay, well, if this is meant to happen, it's going to happen. I'm going to take the initiative, ask. I don't fear rejection.
I just put it out there.
Yeah.
I just put it out there. Yeah, man.
That's all you have to do. 90% of people, or 80% of people, don't take that first step.
And that's where my loyalty lies. Like, that's why I'm so loyal to Gavin, even though we fight about shit, we argue about shit. We'll bitch and moan at each other about shit that we disagree about, but I will ultimately never not be loyal to Gavin, because when I was canceled in 2018, right? Dropped by my agents, all my
fuck that shit means,
canceled, whatever it means, right? A lot of people tried to hook me up with canceled people to try to give me a platform and help me grow and help me bounce back.
Right.
People try to put me in touch with Owen Benjamin. Owen didn't want to have me on because Owen has to be the most canceled and the biggest martyr.
Owen Benjamin, bro.
Owen. And by the way, one of the first things I vehemently disagreed with Ye about was he tried to put Owen and I in touch and try to make us friends with each other.
Really?
And I said, fuck that guy. I don't fuck with him. He's super self-righteous, and I don't give a shit. I will never. I would go, if you're working with Owen on shit, I want nothing to do with it.
Good man.
And he was like, I just thought you guys kind of reminded me of each other.
So don't ever put me in that category again.
No. I go, listen, I think I said something like, we have similar values, but very, very different ways of applying them, or something like that. And he was like, oh, that's cool. Like, now, how many people in that situation would have just capitulated because they thought that's what Ye wanted them to do? Like, well, if Ye wants me to make up with Owen Benjamin, I'll do it. And I was like, nah, fuck that. I don't like Owen. I don't fuck with Owen. And I'm not going to start fucking with Owen just because you guys talk. And he was like, all right, I respect it.
Yeah, you're an OG, bro. You're an OG on that shit, bro.
Yeah, I'm trying to find. Yeah, and by the way, he was pissed off that I did the interview with. He was pissed at me that I did the interview with Brian with Hotep Jesus.
Who was pissed?
Yay.
Oh,
he was
Brian. Who?
Yeah, he was furious about it.
He doesn't like that guy.
No. Not because he didn't like Brian. because he didn't want anybody having any insight as to what was going on at the time. And he was like, I don't want people knowing what we're working on or how we're moving or anything like that. Okay, yeah, here it is. Let me find it.
That does make sense though.
November 4th last year, he just sends me Owen's contact, and I said, yeah, he and I aren't friends. And I go, I don't like him and don't trust him. He probably say the same about me. He goes, oh wow, I thought you guys reminded me of each other. I said, we have similar values but way different approaches in life. He needs everyone to be his idea of righteous and perfect.
Yep.
I love people who can be themselves.
And
he just goes, understood. And I said, we're all imperfect representations of God. I like people that own their flaws. Meaning, I don't think Owen is somebody who's honest about his flaws.
No.
I think he tries to be more self-righteous than everybody else. Dude, I'm pretty much like, I'm totally like radical Islam, but of Christianity, bro. Like if you ask Owen, he's the funniest comedian in the world. He's the most canceled. He's the most true to God's will.
No, he's not.
Like he just thinks he's the everything of everything. And if you were to go like, Denny, what's 5 things you suck at? I'll give you 5 and I'll probably go past it. It's like, there's a difference between being confident and having absolutely no humility about yourself whatsoever.
He's an idiot, dude. He's an idiot who feeds into his idiocracy. You ever seen Idiocracy, the movie?
Yeah.
He's an idiot. He's a priest of that shit, bro.
So and the big difference was like when I got canceled, people tried to put Owen and I in touch, and Owen didn't want to do it because he wanted to be the only canceled guy. And Gavin reached out immediately and was like, dude, people say we should talk. We should know each other. I'd love to have you come on and tell your story. And then we've been friends ever since. So and by the way, he pushes me too, man. Like this weekend when we were in Nashville, like they were trying to tell us what we could do. We got into this huge shouting match and everything else. And Gavin was a little sauced. So he was like his most extreme version of himself in terms of like pushing the envelope. And, the initial part of me was like, hey man, I just had
the envelope. You go ahead.
Just in terms of like, they basically like Lenny Bruced him. They were like, you can do whatever you want, but don't do this, this, and this. And then what do you think were the first 3 things Gavin did? So the story is, I'll tell you guys the story. I don't want to duplicate the story if he told it on his show earlier.
I have no idea. So you're just talking to me. I have no idea.
But he was also really shit-faced, so he might not even really remember what happened.
Okay.
So the booker of the venue, what happened is Gavin was pretty shit-faced. We're walking into the green room before the show. We're like 20 minutes before the show. And Gavin will do this bit when he meets people that he doesn't know, where he's like, guys, you're being really loud back here. I'm hearing a lot of profanity. I'm pretty sure I heard somebody yell the word faggot, and I think I heard someone say nigger. Right? And so and he's saying it to 2 women who are actors on the resident show of the venue. So they freak the fuck out and run to the ownership, and they're like, that man is using racial slurs in this building.
How dare he?
Now the important thing to understand is that the significance of that is the Woolworth Theater, where we performed in Nashville, is a historical landmark in Nashville. It's where John Lewis did this lunch counter sit-in during the civil rights movement in the 60s.
You kind of fucked up. Yeah, go ahead.
So they had this They had this mentality that because of the history of the building, all of a sudden they were going to tell us what we could and couldn't joke about on stage, to which I said, go fuck yourselves, and if you cancel our show last minute, we'll see you in court. Right? And they just had to eat it. I was like, listen, I'm telling you, it's going to cost you. They're like, but if you guys do like racially edgy material here and we get bad press, I go, let me tell you something. If we do the show and you get bad press, it will have come from your staff who don't like us and don't want us to be here.
How was that show then?
It was great. It was great. I go, but if you cancel our show, I promise you're not only going to have a mob of 150 pissed off people here who will probably tear your fucking place to the ground, but you're definitely going to have bad press because Tucker Carlson will have one of us on his show next week talking about how you censored this fucking show.
Go ahead.
I pulled the Tucker bomb out, right? So, which I have, by the way, I have no fucking pull. It's not like I have Tucker on speed dial, but I was definitely, it was definitely a bluff that I was like, I'm going to pull this card out because I had sent them the Tucker Carlson thing covering our story from Rutherford for last year. So they don't know that I don't have Tucker on speed dial. But I definitely overplayed my fucking tens. I played those tens like aces, right? So, so they backed down. They let us do the show. So Gavin, again, tell Lenny Bruce what he can't do on stage. He's going to do it. And he basically went on stage and he was like, so I guess some famous nigger died here or something 60 years ago and we can't talk about it. Like, and then just went into it for like 20 fucking minutes. But it was so funny. And he was just like, yeah, if there was a civil rights incident in this building, I'm pretty sure I'm not the first person to use the word here, right? So, but it was one of those things where I was just like, okay, man, we got him to let us do the show.
Let's not push our
don't punch him in the fucking mouth. And then I had to catch myself and be like, no, dude, you're Gavin McInnes. You're gonna punch him in the mouth. That's what you do, and that's what we should all do. Like, I was like, dude, if every venue
punch him in the mouth,
just theoretically speak, you know what I mean? Like by not adhering to their demands.
They punch him with the jokes?
Yeah. So I was like, I go, you know what, dude? If every venue loves us, we're probably not doing a good job of being what we claim to be either. Like, we should be still pissing people off. We should still be pushing boundaries. We still should be breaking rules. And so, you know, my mentality is like, if we're not doing anything on stage that's illegal, suck our dicks. Right? And last I checked, like, the words you don't like, it's not illegal to say them. So if it is, have a cop come in and write me a ticket. Until then, fuck off, right? It just goes against everything that we believe in about freedom of speech and art and expression. And, you know, I would never capitulate to that. I was literally ready to be like, you can shut this show down and we will see you in court. But there's no fucking way we're going to go, oh, no, yeah, we won't say the bad words.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I mean, it's interesting because I knew of Gavin from seeing him on Rogan, and then around that 2015, 2016 time,
with Kunis, what's his name?
Kumia Network came around.
What's the fact that the gay guy used to hang out with him all?
Milo.
Yeah.
Milo. Yeah, he was big then.
Milo's not fat. What are you talking about?
No, fag.
Yeah, no, he is that. Yes, he is that.
Yeah, so, and I started watching Gavin back then, and it's interesting to see where he's gone from then to now, because now it's really become about the news and free speech stuff. Before it was kind of like some of it, but I guess it's kind of just the maturation of what he went through, and now he's so focused on it. But I thought that time was crazy because Red Bar was on Kumia's network. Gavin was. And they both had a huge falling out with them.
That's bullshit, though. Don't you agree? Because you're all about free speech. Do you think Red Bar was done dirty via that? Some extent, and be honest here, because you're all about free speech and what you have to say, and you can just say it and whatnot, and you should be protected via free speech. You think Red Bar was done dirty?
I don't know the whole story of that. Like, and that's just being honest. I'm not trying to be convenient, but you know, I think that situation, the way Mike told it, was very similar to what I just described about Nashville. I think Anthony asked him, like, hey, man, don't target the other shows. And Mike told him to go fuck himself.
Yeah, we work with them.
And I'll take my show and I'll leave. And listen, I respect anybody who's going to do that, who's going to go, you're not going to tell me how to do my show. If that's really what happened, that's that. But you know, there is an element of, on the flip side of that.
About that at all, ever, or no?
This was one of my favorite beefs.
No. Anthony and I have never had a conversation about when Mike was at Compound.
Well, that was a brilliant show, though. Mike was killing it on that show. I remember Anthony talking about it somewhat here and there. He's, you know, Mike Dave was killing it, and then Mike starts shitting on comedians they were friends with, which is taboo. If you work with the gentleman, you don't want that to happen. And then Mike said, like you said, fuck you. I want to talk who I want to talk about. They tried censoring him, and then he moved off. And then Anthony and them.
So let me give you my quick psychological assessment of both Patrick and Mike in this regard.
Okay.
And this is more Mike than Patrick.
Okay.
Mike is one of those guys that had a hard time making friends, and then learned, if I'm a guy who acts like he doesn't need any friends, that makes me cool. Right. But there's a difference between being that guy because you are that guy and not having friends, or deciding you're going to try to be that guy because nobody fucking likes you in the first place. And so I think with Mike and Patrick, it's very different, where they're sort of, and Mike will like self-sabotage a good thing like he did with Kumia, because he thinks it's like more of a boss move to tell people to go fuck themselves and be all by himself, right? It also allows them to play this sort of victim mentality. It's the self-righteous thing that Owen Benjamin does, where it's like, Owen has nuked every partnership he's ever had, and it's so that he can stand on a rock by himself and go, no one will work with me because I'm too good. And Mike is the same way, and Patrick is the same way. They're like a sliding scale. I'd say Owen's the worst offender. I'd say Mike is kind of the same guy, and Patrick is kind of the same guy, because Mike, if you want to see a good example, a microcosm of what I'm talking about, Mike, like, honey dicked me into coming on his show to talk shit about Patrick, and then at the very last second, like, turned it around, like, fuck you, we don't like you either. And people are like, Mike's a god. And it's like, yeah, that's funny, but it was also highly predictable because that's just his MO, right? And the sad part about that is, like, if your bit is that no one likes you and you have no friends and it's just you and your wife who you met when she was 13, like, alone everywhere together, looking over your shoulders because people want to kill you, that's a terrible life.
It is.
That's I don't care how much money you make. I don't care how much money you make from your fucking podcast, dude. That's a terrible life. That's like a guy who stole a lot of money from the mob and is on the run. That's your life. That's your life. And so, you know, I say what I mean. When people deserve credit, I give it to them. Somebody beats me at something or they're better than me at something, I will give them that credit. I don't have to be the fucking lone man at the top. That's a shitty life. And I just don't think that way. So that's why I care about having friends. I care about having people I can trust. I care about having people that enrich my life in a good way. I don't think there's anything cool about nobody liking you.
Well, I don't think you come off as spiteful of anything between any of these guys or anything, really. You're just kind of like, this is kind of what it is. But
it's just because I understand the deep-rooted psychology of it. Like, I've hung out with the difference between me and all these dorks. I've been in the same room as Mike David. I've watched him cower at making eye contact with me because at the end of the day, he's a fucking fraud. He's like a little nerdy fraud that nobody fucking liked, and then realized I can go on the internet and say whatever I want about people and not get punched in the face and just hide. And so it's like, okay, man, but like, you know as well as I do that if you were all the shit he says about me online, he had the opportunity to say it to my fucking face when we were in front of each other in Chicago. He didn't say a word to me. So it's like that, and it's the same with all of his trolls and fans. When they come out to shows, they can't look me in the eye. They can't make fucking eye contact. They mumble shit under their breath when they're on the other side of the fucking room. They're cowards and pussies. I've never met a single person who's a Red Bar fan who seems like somebody I wish I could be friends with. Never once. And why would I give a fuck about criticism from people whose advice I would never seek, whose friendship I would never seek? Right. They're fucking geeks, dude. And not in like the fun, like, I like Marvel shit way.
I like Star Wars.
Fucking losers.
Well, that's the thing. I think he was early in fostering like a community of fans. I think that would be on Reddit or Facebook or something like that. And then those people, it just becomes like some type of, maybe Discord now, like an echo chamber of something. So yeah, it's wild.
It's Wendy Williams for podcast nerds. That's what Mike's show is.
Yeah,
he's literally doing the Wendy Williams show. Wendy Williams would go on and be like, y'all seen this? The girls from Real Housewives is doing this shit. Y'all seen this? And the audience, That's Mike talking about other podcasts.
And I love all these idiots saying, nice try, Josh, and all that shit. So it's like, he doesn't need to do a nice try. It's honesty at this point. I mean, I'm sorry, your boy is stuck doing this garbage. And while Josh progresses his career and makes something of himself, I'm sorry that your guy is just stuck in mediocrity.
Well, listen, and I don't give it, like, people go, Mike makes $1 million a year doing his podcast. I don't give a fuck if he makes $200 million a year. I don't want his life. His wife is unattractive. His life looks like it sucks. Okay, my old lady has tits. I like women with tits. He doesn't. That's fine.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This
You know
guy
what I'm
is a
saying?
man.
Like,
He's a man. He's
so
not a simp. He's not a toy boy.
So that's what I think is so funny. Is you're just jealous. Jealous of what? A man with no friends? A woman he met at Jewish summer camp when she was a small teenager? And a life where I have to look over my shoulder everywhere because, you know, some other super fan of some other podcaster I talk shit about is going to come beat the fuck out of me somewhere if I'm ever recognized. Like, dude, you know, you don't have to like me, but I'm not hard to find.
But Josh, you're above that now. You get what we're saying here? You're talking to Candace Owens, you're talking to Kanye, Ye West. You're not in that realm anymore at this point. So
yeah,
I have a question for you.
And it is really not like, it's not something that I think about except when I'm on shows like this and they're all in your chat.
Hey, fuck you. Shows like this. You know what, you bitch? You're done.
Yeah, this guy.
I'm kidding.
A bunch of people said I was this guy for a while. I don't know why, but it's pretty funny. Yeah,
I
thought I was him.
Yeah, so that's how hip and cool. Hold on, that's how hip and cool Red Bar is.
Hold on.
Let's just say this. That's how hip and cool Red Bar is. That their main source of communication is still happening on Facebook. What is this? 2004?
Yeah, it's over. You know.
We have a highly prestigious close Facebook group where we get together. Yeah, you know who else does? Pedophiles.
I can't. You made me smell my drink, bro. Hang on. My shit's fucked right now. Hang on.
Yeah. You guys have a group, exclusive group on Facebook. You know who else does? My uncle.
I love it. This
really
guy,
cool exclusive Facebook group for him and his friends too.
Fuck you, Josh. I just literally just spit my drink all over my goddamn arm. All right, you fucking bitch. You gotta stop being so goddamn funny. I love it. It's just like it's insane to me, like watching you deal with these motherfuckers on a daily basis throughout your life. During the mid 2000s and shit, and now just seeing you who you are now and just having
10 years.
Show.
It's 14 years. We're going on 14 years.
I know.
Like Red Bar has been talking about. That's what I think is so funny. Is like, if I'm a nobody, why have you talked about me for 14 years? You know what I mean? Like, I don't talk about you at all on my show. Maybe if you started playing a sport, if they start having crippled Jewish wheelchair games, then I can cover Mike on my show. But until then, until there's some sort of like colostomy bag toss in the Olympics, then I could then I'll have something to cover. Then I'll have tapes to review.
Sport takes. Go ahead, Dr. Chow.
I wish I had the sound effect. Somebody give me the broken glass sound.
No, we don't do sound effects here. This is an honest interview show inspired by the 50s or 60s. All right, we keep it honest here.
There you go.
You can say faggot. You can say the N-word. We don't care because we're honest radio. All right.
Hey, you can bleep me. That's fine.
I would never bleep you, sir. You are honestly a national treasure, and we should inspire to be you. Honestly, you're just such a great person. But Dr. Chow, you had a question. I saw you kind of opening up your lower jaw for a second. Go ahead.
I was thinking a couple different things, but I think one thing Red Bar's done good for like a business model is he finds a new show to go after, and then maybe like the 10 to 20% of people who were fans of that show will come over to him or something to check it out.
Hold on, though. I got to call bullshit on that.
You don't think so?
Melton did that better the first time he tried to do it with Steel Toe than Mike has ever done it. Really? Listen, I can knock Patrick all day long, and by the way, I will say this to Aaron's face. I told Aaron, you step into this world of this gossip bullshit, it's going to fucking bite you in the ass. And I told Corey and him, I go, and by the way, there's a reason Mike doesn't put his old lady on camera. Mm-hmm. There's a reason I don't put my old lady on camera. You put your old lady on camera, you're going to get fucking divorced. Okay. It's inevitably going to happen because women can't take this shit. And everything I've warned Aaron about has come true. But Melton took like 50% of fucking Aaron's fan base overnight by covering him for a month. He had more cannibalization of that audience from that show than Mike has ever done trying to go after other shows, right?
Really?
So like there are, there's no amount of Brendan Schaub coverage that's going to get people the lion's share of Fighter and the Kid subscribers. There's no amount of Santino coverage. It's not like Mike is peeling away half of Tiger Belly's audience by talking about Bobby Lee. So it's like, yes, he does attempt to do it, but I'll tell you what, man, I don't think he's ever done it successfully to the point where I think the Compound shit, Dr. Chow, was probably the biggest one. When he walked out of Compound and said, fuck you to everybody, he pulled a lot of Compound people with him because they were like, oh, that's the boss move. He literally like walked out on the network and was like, fuck you, I'll do my own thing.
Right.
I think that's the only time he ever really successfully like peeled fans away from whoever he was targeting and actually built his fan base substantially. Like the amount of people he pulled in terms of subs from that allowed him to do everything he's done since then, from like a funding perspective and a financial perspective and all of that. So, but it's like, if that were the case, every time he went after somebody, he'd be the biggest podcast in the world, right?
Yeah, I mean, I just think the idea of varying your guy, because I had seen his show, I had seen some of his old shows, and then recently I tuned back into it, and it was all these like Zoomer or like TikTok style like younger streamers that I didn't resonate with. I didn't even know existed until he started covering them. And to me, like when he was covering like Brendan Schaub and D'Elia and all those guys, I had seen those guys and Rogan and stuff. I had seen their shows. So to me, that's like what drew me in, is I was familiar with the subject matter. Well, now I don't get it.
Yeah, trend jacking is a successful way to do it, right? Like that is how every influencer and YouTuber does their shit. And like, people all the time, they'll like shit on me about view counts or whatever. They'll be like, your YouTube only has so many subscribers.
You're buying views, whatever the fuck.
No. First of all, get your story straight. Am I buying views or do I have no views? What is it? Right. So, but part of the reason is that even if there's an obvious trend jacking opportunity for me to jump on a topic or something, I can't work like that. Like, I'm not trying to be the best at figuring out the algorithm. I'm just trying to make shit I like and then hope it finds people that like it. And that might seem like a dumb, purist way to look about it, not a good business mindset, and it probably is. But there is something cringe and inauthentic about just trying to target content based on what you think is successful. Like, if we did that at Big Time Sports City Sports Show, we would have had a Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift clip up immediately, right? So that we could trend jack that trend and try to get views for the show. Exactly. That would be a smart business decision.
Right.
But I look at the idea of doing that and going, unless we have something really fucking funny to add to it, I don't want to be just another show talking about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce for the sake of getting clicks. That's gross. And then, so our hope is that we get good enough to where not only can we spot a trend like that, but then come up with something really funny about it. And if we can do that, we will do it and we will deploy it. But we're not just going to make trend jacking content for the sake of trying to get in an algorithm somewhere. That's just awful. And there's a million people doing it. And you can make a little bit of money and you could probably make a lot of money, but nobody's going to fucking remember a thing you have to say.
Oh shit. Okay.
Well, you know what? One thing I noticed, I used to watch a lot of the like weekly podcasts that like comedians did on the New York based ones and then the LA based ones. Then I noticed like all the shows would cover these same niche articles all the time. And then it got back to me that they subscribe to some like newsletter or something that gives them topics that are like the trending topics, and they touch on all the same things.
Dude, I get hit up by a million of those kinds of companies every fucking. It's an exaggeration. It's not a million, but I probably get 3 emails a week.
Yeah.
Of people that are like, listen, man, we can take your podcast to the next level. We'll feed you. There are businesses out there that do this shit now. Like, we'll feed you topics. We'll give you the algorithm. Like, we'll help you hack the algorithm. And then there are people that just pay this shit. And then you have people like a Bobby Altoff that comes out of left field and is automatically huge and getting these big names and everyone else. And what do people say? They go, oh, she's an industry plant, right? because you can't just come in and hack this shit that easy. Yeah, you can. It's not hard if you have absolutely no artistic integrity whatsoever. You can trend jack your way to the top immediately.
Isn't that insane though? Like, I mean, just like as a proper
Yeah,
artist?
it is. Well, I mean, if you have any sort of desire to create something original, that will eat at your soul to do that kind of shit. But if you're one of these people who just wants to be famous and have money, you don't give a fuck what you got to do it.
You'll suck their dick. You'll do whatever.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, dude. If I was just so dead, if I were so dead set on just amassing fans, I would be doing crazy, retarded, outrageous shit to do it. Right? Like, I could probably name like 3 people that would fall into that category who are literally just like, they will do anything, man on the street shit or whatever, to generate clicks. And you know, it's like all clickbaity kind of content. It's like you're letting the algorithm dictate to you what your content is, and there's nothing visionary about that at all. Do you think when Ye goes in the studio, he's like, what else do people like right now?
No, he makes trends. He starts.
No, he'll go, I decide what people like right now. So again, when I talk about like the little bit of exposure I've had to him, the few conversations, completely changed my perspective around stuff, and almost made me double down on the thing of like, if I don't love what I make first, I don't care about the rest. But the real trick is like, yes, I should be working harder at when I do make something I love, try to get it in front of as many people as I possibly can, right? That I could work harder at.
So what are you do you have, other than your hour of stand up, is there any like artistic or creative endeavors that you're maybe trying to build towards over the next year to 5 years, 3 years, anything that you're, or maybe touch on anything that you're kind of goal, I don't know if it's called
goal wise, I want to make a really great special. That's goal 1. I want to make either a movie or like a TV series, completely independent. That's really good. And that's really it. Like, those are the kind of the 2 immediate goals. There is kind of a fun one that has it's nothing to do with my carear, but
Tell me. I
want to finish. I want to finish the record I started writing in 2001. So like I've just bought a bunch of like music gear in the last year and started playing guitar real heavily again. And
how was that going for you? Like, you took a step back from like music and whatnot, to do your comedy career, and then all this other crazy bullshit with cancel culture, and do your thing with Ye and you know how it goes. But I know because I do music too, as an artist, there's always that lingering in the back of your head. You know what? I kind of want to go back and do music. I just want to sit down, just listen to a tune, maybe rap something out. If you kind of like want to, yeah, like you said, you kind of want to go back towards music a little bit here.
Well, so here's a real honest thing. I'll talk about why my music career failed. My music career failed because I was trying to do what I just talked about as a musician. I was trying to look at trends as a rock guitarist and like, where's the industry going? And I was like 20 years old at the time. And I was like, oh, these are the big bands now, so we got to be like them. These are the big bands now, so we got to be like them. And I didn't think about being original in any way whatsoever. And nobody was inspired to want to make music with me because I was trying to hack the algorithm. I was trying to figure out, like,
why though? Come on, as a musician, who gives a fuck who's listening, right? To some extent.
To get all this, bro.
I
know, but bro, come on, man, you can make your own. I mean, I've done shows with MacNed and fucking Lil Tracy.
But I think
you can do
so. Like, I didn't grow up writing my own music. I grew up always playing other people's music.
Okay, yeah.
Right. And so I just fell in love with other shit. Like, it's sort of like there's a difference between a chef who's really good at execution of a recipe versus somebody who creates recipes. And that was why comedy was a more natural fit for me, because I grew fascinated with making my own shit as a comedian in a way that I never felt compelled to as a musician. I just wanted to be the best player. So like, I cared about playing parts perfect in terms of timing, perfect in terms of execution. I didn't have any real soul behind playing music and trying to write something interesting or say something interesting. Like, I was not creatively driven as a musician the way that I am as a comedian. So part of the reason of wanting to go back and do music again now is like, now that I've grown more and I do understand creating things from scratch, Now, if I go back and try to do music the way I've done comedy for the last 20 years, maybe my music will be better or different or whatever. But I'm kind of interested to explore what my music is like now, actually caring about creative process and inspiration versus just copying the things that I like to listen to.
Have you kind of what's been going on in the studio so far with you?
Just guitar tracks. A lot of it is just like a lot of what I've been
tracks are you
fucking
doing?
with is not to nerd out too much, but like
No. I love music, man. Go ahead. Josh Chow is also a fan.
yeah, so like building my rig. So like a lot of what I've been doing is just just like experimenting with tones. So I play a line 6 Shuriken Variax guitar, and I have a line 6 Helix processing lab. So
oh shit, okay.
So basically you have everything at your disposal as far as tones go. And so a lot of what I've been dicking around with is like trying to build the rig of like, okay, for this song, like what amps do I want to use? What guitar do I want to use? Hey, what if I were to use a completely down-tuned guitar tone, but I were to do it with a hollow body with P90s? Like the Variax Workbench software allows you to create shit that doesn't exist in real life.
Are you using
in terms of like tones?
What are you doing? Like what's your platform you're using though?
What do you mean?
I mean, when you record the tracks, right? And you plug them in and all that good shit, your guitar and all that shit. Are you using Fruit Loops? Are you using...
No, I use Logic.
Okay.
Yeah, I just use Logic and
Logic Pro X, right?
Yeah, and then I just go straight in through the Helix.
Okay. Yeah, because I think
the Helix just goes directly out to whatever your DAW is, and I just use the DAW to capture everything. Self-contained in line 6 software is where you really can like dial in your tones and stuff. So I don't really use plugins like direct DAW plugins. I do everything through line 6's software.
Okay. So I got another question for you then. So you're doing this with the Logic Pro X. Did you kind of like convince Ryan Castor-Rivera to finally do that shit with his music? Because him and I were talking. I was telling him bricks before he did this show. I was like, dude, you have to hop in Logic Pro X. Fucking GarageBand is not it. It's very basic, whatever you have going on. But Logic Pro, it has a lot of things going on. Did you kind of talk him into that, or?
No, he's like a GarageBand loyalist, dude. Like he last I talked to him, he was like, yeah, I do everything through GarageBand because I want him to do leads for whatever I end up writing for this record. Like I would love for him to be the lead guitar player on the record, and he's like, yeah, I'm down to do it.
Oh, this is one of our buddies, but hey, continue on though what you're talking about with records and shit. Go ahead.
Yeah, so my friend keeps blowing my phone up.
Go ahead.
I'm hold on one second. Let me
No, you do your thing, man.
Yeah.
Joey, how you doing? We'll talk to Joey real quick while you do your thing. Joey, how you doing, brother?
What's happening, brother? How are you? Thanks for letting me come on, buddy.
Of course, man. Of course. It's always an honor, when when in doubt. Last time we talked, it was a little confrontational, but this time it's more,
no, it's always good with me and you, Mir. I love you, man. I love you to death. I love Dr. Chow, and this is a guy I'm very interested in. I like the way.
Yeah, Josh.
Like sexually? No,
not like that, brother.
Damn it. I always wanted to try dudes.
Josh, he's a fag, all right? Don't worry about it, all right? Keep your distance.
Well, now that's actually hurts more. If he's already gay and he says no.
No.
It's less
I'm
offensive.
I'm an Italian enforcer, buddy. I ain't gay. Trust me.
Well, I kind of want to let me spice up the vibe for a second here. So, Josh Denny over here, and I'm pretty sure and don't interrupt me, Joey, because I know you like to do that a lot. He's had a history with NLO. He knows Patrick very well. And Josh, if you don't know, recently Joey has been the main target of NLO with them shitting on his family, his wife, his children, all that good shit. And Joey's been reacting, which you should not do, which we talked about earlier, Joey. But don't interrupt me, sir. You should not do. But at the end of the day, it is your show. It is your persona. You got to do what you got to do. Do you have any words of advice with Joey to kind of like distance himself from NLO like you did?
I would just say this, like, first of all, I'm never a guy who's going to tell you react, don't react, whatever. I think you should do whatever feels authentic to you and whatever feels right.
Okay.
Like, because I'll tell you this, don't mention it, don't talk about it, it'll just go away. That's not always true either. Right. So I think you just got to react to it however you feel is authentic to you or organic to you. You just have to understand that they're literally just doing it because they have no other content. Like, and so, they're hoping that you're just going to continue to give them content. And so the mentality behind don't reply is like, yeah, starve them of content. But, Ty Rivera never replied, and Patrick talked about him for 2 fucking years. So, there's like a sort of demented obsession thing. And Patrick is 100% like a bully. Like it's a weird way. He's like a kid that probably got made fun of by popular kids and then bullied the kids that were less popular than him. And that's like his whole fucking vibe. And same thing with Mike on a different level. Like, I think the difference is Mike thinks he can reinvent what cool is, and to some degree has people convinced that he has. Whereas Patrick literally just like tries to shit on the people that he thinks are beneath him. And, it's like, hey, Patrick, if you're really a great troll, punch up. Go after Rogan. Go after these bigger shows. Critique these people that are way more successful than you. Like, if you're going to be that scrappy show that talks shit about people, then do something that can get someone's attention who care, or who's like hard to get their attention. But this idea that you're going to pick on shows smaller than you or whatever, I mean, that's just like,
it's pussy shit, bro.
It's just,
we're right on his ass.
What's the point? Is that show is
Right.
fucking Spike TV going to come back and be like, you know what we want is a guy who shits on other guys?
Right. That's just
like,
dead now.
That's not interesting. It's not compelling. Like, people want to be entertained. I mean, normal people want to feel something good when they're being entertained. Like, this whole misery as an industry thing,
right, is
fucking weird to me. And it is a zero-sum game. Like, show me somebody who is a multimillionaire who does this.
So I want to dive into Joey real quick here, and Josh, I want you to listen, okay? Like, just take this in stride. So Joey, I love you, buddy, but I've been hearing crazy shit about your family, the stabbings, your father-in-law or stepfather-in-law who raped a kid, and then
I never met him, and it's my wife, my wife's her first husband's father. I
right.
never met the man, and she divorced that, got away from that family because the father turned out to be the biggest serial rapist killer in Florida, with the biggest unsolved case in Florida history. He's tied to the Jennifer Odom case,
right?
Which has been a 30-year case, and that was my wife's first husband's, the girl's father, who was in prison for 40 years, their father, and she divorced him 25 years ago, and then his father is the one that did all that in Florida. So I never met the man. I know nothing about him.
Okay, perfect. So let's exclude him. But you had a stepdaughter or a daughter who stabbed you and your wife multiple times.
My biological daughter.
Your biological daughter.
Deaf, yeah.
So real quick before Josh, we dive into like helping Joey C out here to some extent, because I know this is probably like somewhat I really want to get into with you guys, because it's an honor to have Joey C on, and it's even. No disrespect to you, Joey C, but Josh Denny is on another level right now, even above us. He's an amazing individual, who's done great things. But anyway, Josh, you don't know this, but Joey C's daughter, didn't mutilate, but stabbed him and his wife multiple times, and Patrick Melton's making fun of it on his show. He's showing also his wife's dead daughter's face on their fucking show and shit. How should he respond to that? Because to some extent, like you said, sometimes the best reaction is not reacting, but also you should react to some extent. But
however you think, my answer didn't change hearing his story. I'll just say this. I'm the kind of dude where like I hear that and I go, that sounds interesting. If you got interesting shit like that in your life, right, or in your history or whatever, like there's got to be a story to that. I'd be interested in hearing that story. So, like, I think the problem is sometimes when people try to attack you over who you are, I think our nature as people is to try to defend it first. And sometimes it's like, yo, man, sometimes the fucked up things about us or our lives or our family or our history is what makes us interesting.
Right.
And so sometimes it's hard to take a beat and step back and go, why are they interested in this? And maybe I have an opportunity to like share something with my audience that they'd be interested in hearing or whatever. But like, I think the best way to respond is to like say whatever you want to say about the thing that's being addressed and then move on from it. Like, I don't think you have to necessarily beat for beat address what they say, although I've done that in the past. But like,
You learn from it though.
But the reality is like, you know, I can tell you that dude has not had anything that interesting happen in his life in the last 10 fucking years. So that's why he's talking about it. He's not talking about it to get under your skin. Getting under your skin is like a whipped cream.
Cherry on the top.
The cherry on it's just an added bonus.
Right.
It's just that you have this interesting thing that's happened in your life, and if you're not going to talk about it, he is. So don't let him farm your life for content. Make it yourself.
But Joe,
we're all past that. I came onto this dabbleverse with I speak 100% the truth. I told my story.
I hope you do.
From birth to all my trials and tribulations. In the last 3 years, I lost a child. I went to federal prison. My wife went to federal prison. 7 years ago, my youngest daughter, my biological daughter, who's profoundly deaf and mentally disabled, brutally stabbed us. My wife died in the helicopter, was brought back to life. They revived her. Stabbed me and I'm her biological for 8 times. We still went to bat for her, kept her out of prison. She got a 10-year probation sentence. We wouldn't press charges against her. And then 5 years in her probation, her boyfriend tried to beat her up. And I always taught my girls, don't let a man hit on you. So she beat the piss out of her boyfriend. He called the police on her and violated her. That's why she's in prison. That's number one. I have walked away from Melton several fucking times. Here.
But
I found Melton's weaknesses. Melton grew up in Florida, in Holiday, Florida, which is trailer trash fucking hit. I live in Florida. So I know he calls me trailer trash. I don't never lived in a trailer. I lost everything when I went to prison. My home, my car, my daughter, everything. Okay. I lost 30 years of working in professional baseball because I went to federal prison. I lost my whole legacy that I built. Okay. So I've walked away from this piece of shit. He lies. First of all, he takes my content and all he does is fabricate everything that is the truth. Number one. I know his wife is a cum-sucking whore. I've told him that. Okay? I've told him that to his fucking face. Okay? He calls my wife a prostitute. He docks my phone number. He docks my fucking apartment. He calls me trash. And I've walked. Then he goes, I can't get into this no more. I want to just make up. The first time I fell for it, I made up with him. It was supposed to be done. And I go back and I fucking just, nobody knows I'm watching the show. And he's fucking doing it again. Now he's doing it every day. Now he's made and I've told him, I bought a plane ticket. I'm on my way to Vegas soon. Because as an Italian, I grew up in the streets of Chicago. I grew up on the projects. It's at the point now, I have to face him face to face. Because I know he'll piss his pants when I tap on his fucking shoulder. I know he's a pussy. This is where I'm at with Melton. I want to shut this fucking guy. I'll hire you as my second mic, and I'll fucking help me take this prick down, and I'll fucking bury him.
Josh.
Listen, I'm just saying that I'm always a fan of the violence option. Always a fan. I think,
but not this time.
I think it's been around since the beginning of time for a reason because it works. So
he hides in his house. He can't go outside. He's afraid because he fucking burned so many bridges. I know where all the whole casinos he's been thrown out of because he was caught card counting. I know he didn't pay his fucking taxes. I know every fucking thing about him. I can destroy this fucking punk. I don't give 6'5". I'm glad. I wish he was 7 foot. So
Joey, why do you care?
With a fucking hammer, and he goes down on the floor and he begs me to stop. I don't give a fuck about jail. He knows I don't give a fuck. I go to prison. I'll bring bond money. I've lived in Las Vegas. That's my fucking town. My godfather ran Las Vegas. Okay?
Right. But Joey.
And I walk away every time, and this fucking guy just don't stop. And you know, it's personal now. Now it's personal. I don't give a fuck what you say about me.
For several months.
Joey, you like when we had Josh on the show, what we talked about, and I hoped it kind of hurts my heart you didn't take heed to what Josh was saying.
I walked away. He won't stop.
You don't walk away, motherfucker.
Listen, I think showing up at a dude's house and hitting him in the hammer and the knees with a hammer. I think that counts as content, right? So I don't
know. No. Hang on, Josh. Don't placate him. Okay, hang on.
My point is, Josh, I'm not afraid of him. I'm not afraid of him.
It's escalated to a real high point lately. So,
but I'm just gonna say this.
No reason.
I'm just gonna say this, Joey. You seem like a real dude. You seem fired up. If this is the end result of the show that someone's doing online, is it worth it? Like, I don't want to do content that's got Joey C coming to break my fucking knees. Who wins in that? Right. So that's my point is like, this is what I'm talking about. If your goal to get a dude like Joey this riled up about what you're doing, that he wants to fucking do harm to you, what is the point of that? Like, this is what I keep saying all the time is like, one of these shows, and it's not going to be the guy who does the show, because the guys who do the shows are cowards. It's going to be one of their fans is going to show up to a Schaub show or show up somewhere else and talk shit, and they're going to get murdered. And then their family is going to sue the podcast for encouraging them to do it. They're going to get hit with a wrongful death suit, because people don't understand that, like, this internet game of fucking with people's real lives, it's a dead end street. You might get some clicks and some view and some content out of it, but eventually you're going to cross the motherfucker who isn't to be crossed, and then you're going to die over a fucking bit, right? And what are you guys going to go? You're going to go, well, isn't that the most fucking samurai type shit you could do? I don't know. How good was the bit? Not that good, right?
It's a double-edged sword.
Funny, Josh. I don't even think he's funny. He he does a show based on misery. This guy's the fucking most miserable guy I've ever come across in my entire life.
That is
the most miserable guy.
How's that true? How is that true?
How is Melton the most miserable guy? I can't.
I want to actually know this.
I can't give you one thing that brings him joy.
Really?
Exactly, I believe that.
And I've known him since 2010. There wasn't a single time where we were hanging out together as friends where he's like, you know what I love? You know what really brings me joy? Not one fucking thing ever. Every conversation with the dude was a grievance, a complaint, a bitching about something, right? Even Anthony, who that's his whole fucking MO, is bitching and complaining and grievances. When we're alone, there are things that Anthony loves and loves to talk about and loves to fucking that there's joy in for him, right? Yeah. Like Anthony and I stayed up playing poker at MGM last year till fucking 5 a.m, taking money off of pro poker players playing like assholes.
Hey, there you go, boy.
And just the idea of like outsmarting people at the table and having fun and pissing people off, like, you know, and just like making small talk and getting to know people, like that brings him joy. Like he loves meeting his fans.
I know that.
He loves talking to people. He loves stories, man. Like, so same thing goes with Gavin. Like, that to me is the difference, is like, there has to be something when you're around somebody that brings them absolute joy, right? Like it could be a hobby. It could be whatever. The dude has no hobbies that I know of. No buddies that they get together every fucking year, whatever. And do like I do. I've been in a fantasy hockey league with my childhood best friends for over 15 years.
Awesome. That's awesome, man.
That's a thing that I do that brings me joy. That you know what I mean? Like
it's small moments like that.
Yeah, dude.
I can see you're real. I've been watching the whole interview. I saw how real. I see how you don't got no line in your eyes. I see you're pure in your heart. And I said, this guy is the real deal. You know, I can't help that his wife is blowing Rick at the wings place. I can't help it. I don't know. I can't help that. She shit on him, you know. I can't help it. I can't. That gay proposal he did. Did you see his marriage proposal that he did live?
Yeah. Is that real?
Is that real, Josh? Is that real? Honestly,
I don't know if it's real or not.
I don't know, but I
don't know.
I don't know if it was real, but it looked real gay. I'll tell you that.
It did.
And so I'll give it. Hold on. Let me give you another perspective on this.
Yes, of course. Let me hear it. Come on.
I am very good friends with 2 other comics that were on that season of Laugh After Dark,
right?
Who had opinions about the way that went down, and their perspective was that Patrick used the proposal thing as a way to try to weasel himself into a spot that he otherwise would not have gotten just on the merits of being a comic alone, because producers of TV shows love stories like that. So if it's you as a comic versus you as a comic, they're going to pick whoever they think is the most interesting comic. Right. But if it's you as a comic and this comic's going to propose to his girlfriend in his set, well, then that's better television, and we'll go with that guy. Sure. So the perspective that other people that were working with Laugh After Dark and that were on that was that he did it as like a cheat code way to try to fucking get on television, rather than just be the most fire comedian.
Right. So do you think he just found an actress or something to do it?
She's the ugliest actress I've ever seen in my life.
She's definitely ugly. Definitely ugly.
Actress. That's what I think is hilarious. Of like, these guys talk shit about my old lady, and they talk about their fucking women are disgusting. My old lady has trophies for how pretty she is in her fucking house.
Wonderful.
Like, she's been in fucking beauty contests since she was a child.
You got children, Josh? You have children?
No. But if I do, they'd be fucking hot.
Well, I know Melton never got married because there's no marriage certificate anywhere. So I mean, I've looked through the whole. He's never been married. I mean, so I know that's full of shit. So
and listen, I don't care if he is or not. Like, people give me shit about me and my old lady not being married. We have our reasons why.
Yeah, that's fine.
But we've been together for almost 12 years now, and I love her to death, and I think she's great. So
no, that's respectful to you, because like, do you think actually, before I have a great question for you, but I don't want to dive into it just yet. I just want to read the super chats that we have. People pay money, to like say their questions. So let's just run through them real quick, Josh, and whatnot.
I love the idea that people are spending money to try to troll. Let's have it.
Let's see what these faggots have to say. All right, here we go. Here's the first one. Ready? Josh Denny is a legend in the casual shoe industry. Also, I never had to suck a dude, but I know someone who has, which makes me wonder if I could. That was a great troll. Okay, here's the next one. Nita is in my bed right now. She says you are rotund. And actually her name is pronounced Netta, and she's not. She's in my bed right now. So Netta. Here we go. Okay, here we go. Chick. Here's the next one. Don't worry, there's a very small amount of them. So let's keep going. Justice for Lance. That's for us.
There's a bunch of people spamming that, so I timed them out.
No shit.
Red Bar's watching. Yeah, hopefully he is.
What's up, Red Bar?
Whatever. Josh, do you regret taking testosterone therapy after what it did to Kumia? And are you relieved Centripoli made Red Bar disappear?
Hold on. I've never taken testosterone. I don't know who made that up. I've talked about I probably should because I definitely have low T, and people have said that could potentially help jumpstart my health shit. But I feel like with the Ozempic and the testosterone and everything, I feel like they're cheat codes. Listen, I'm a fat piece of shit because I have not worked out and eaten right for the last 5-6 years. So how about I do it the old fashioned way of eating right and exercising, and then anything else I do on top of that will be like icing on the cake, right? But like, there's no shortcut to getting healthy. And quite frankly, I don't give a fuck about how I look. The engine's starting to go on this thing, right? So cheating it for the sake of dropping a few pounds doesn't fix the fact that I'm bad under the hood. I got to fix that. So there is no, I could take tea and have a problem with my heart. And there, by the way, nobody fucking knows if that had an effect with Anthony, but there are people speculating that could have exacerbated a problem that was pre-existing or something. So I don't know. And I don't know enough about TRT to be like yes or no to it for me.
You don't have like a logical.
I would talk to my I have a very good doctor that I like here that does not even on my insurance, but if I'm really concerned about my health, I will just pay out of pocket to see her because I trust her. And she's not a cut you open, give you pills doctor.
Yeah.
She's a DO. So she's like, she tries to find the most holistic approach to what you have to do first.
Sure.
And she's never been wrong with me. So I very much.
How old are you, Josh, may I ask?
I just turned 40.
I see, I'm 57. I got a 41-year-old wife.
Joey, pull it away a little bit.
I got a 41-year-old wife. Like I said, you know what I went to prison for? For telling a false statement to the federal agents, covering up something for my wife. That's what I went to prison. I did the honorable thing, being a husband.
Not being a rat.
Not being a rat.
Not being a rat, all right?
I got a 9-month sentence in federal camp. My wife got 30 months. So, we're paying back the money that was taken from the government. We're out. We're trying to build our life back. And like I said, I wanted to just ask you two things. And you gave me most of my answer already. I mean, bottom line is this guy is just, this guy's got no filter. He's just a really miserable piece of shit. And and I could walk away because I put him in my rear mirror.
No, you cannot.
I'm not a comic. I'm not. I've never been a comic. I'm not. I'm just. See, he met somebody that's a real person, and I think he gets a little because I've got him so frustrated when I wait till he drinks on Friday night and I'll wear his ass out on his phone where he closes up a show. I've done it 3 times to him. Okay, he gets so fucking belligerent where I demoralize his fucking whore wife like the plague. Okay. And he's right. Suing him, he's covered at every angle. In this dabbleverse, we're protected to say any fucking thing we want. And he's won every case of being sued. That's why he's cocky. That's number one. See, and you're right. Someday
he hasn't won every case. He's actually just gotten them dismissed. He's never actually had anything go to trial.
Right. Well, that's what
or even discovered.
Really.
But the one thing that the one thing that both he and Mike are pretty bad about is like, you're covered under fair use and you're covered under parody and you're covered under free speech, unless somebody can say that you've actually given a pointed direction to try to have a detrimental effect on somebody's business or livelihood. That's a hard fucking thing to prove, but it's not impossible to prove for some people. Like, there are moments where Mike on his show has directed his audience point blank to ruin H3H3's business, to ruin Impulsive's business. If any of these big guys really wanted to lawyer up and go after him, they could. They just know that it's like, it's not personal enough for them to take the time and energy and money to do it. Right?
I feel the same way.
And so, but they are like, and that's the thing is like, it's not defamation until you can prove that they have a genuine intent. And in many cases, they've declared, hey, I intend to destroy this person's business by lying about them. And so when it crosses that line, you know, then it's a matter of, can you find a lawyer that thinks it's worth it? And do you want to spend the money? And they know that most people aren't going to. But so that's why they just continue to push and push and push. I like the idea that they're going to do that until somebody real shows up and murders them. That's what
that was my point.
That's what I think is, you know, not that I would ever encourage that. But
exactly.
But
Dr. Chow had a question. Dr. Chow, you have
but not to go too Middle Eastern. Inshallah, if it's God's will, then maybe.
And on that point, the fair use thing, that's very subjective, and that could change very quickly. You know how YouTube has been locking down over the last 5 years certain things, and all this stuff. It's like you can't just trust that it'll always be that way where you can make React content.
Right. But he fails one area. There is a clause in YouTube. First of all, if it's mental bullying and someone's under mental distress and with seeing a psychiatrist, then he could be even criminally charged.
You're not seeing a psychiatrist though, so
my wife is. It was her daughter that he talks about smoking her dead ashes. It's her daughter that he's going to dig up and fuck her.
Smoking her dead ashes.
So my wife is under psychiatry and is becoming very mentally distressed. And there's documentation, and he thinks that, you know, if she decides to go through it, he could be charged criminally. I'm telling you right now. I already read all the laws.
All right,
he thinks not, but he's wrong.
Let's go back into our chat, what we're doing.
I wanted to say, too, it is a double-edged sword with what Joey's doing with Patrick, because Patrick's been covering him nonstop, and everyone's watching Joey because he's fighting back. So it's like his show has grown exponentially over the last couple months, and so has Melton. So they're kind of like feeding each other, but they're also battling. It's weird, and it's personal.
Yeah, but here's the big picture. Like, where does any of that go?
No, yeah, exactly. It ends in disaster.
I'm looking for you to be a reason here, and just tell me this guy's not worth it. He's scum, and just go live my life.
We've been saying that, bro. I told you that
2 hours. Yeah. It's not. Yeah, I mean, dude, go live your life. And by the way, I'll tell you this, Joey. Just a little bit of talking with you. You're an interesting dude. You've had some interesting shit happen in your life. Find out a way to get a fucking book deal or a show deal talking about you and not other people, because you're more interested in the fucking 10 minutes I talk to you. I have more questions for you than I have for that dude. And I know him for 10 years.
All right, ask him a question.
No. I mean, I'm just saying, like, like what's we're not going to turn this into, you know, Joey's autobiography, but that's what I'm saying is I'm interested in enough in who you are and your life experiences and shit you've done. That's what you should be spending your time online doing. Tell people who you are. Sell who you are. Ignore those. If he could do that, he would do that, and he'd be fucking famous and rich. Right. So he can't do that because he's not interesting.
Right. Yeah, he's got his own show, and he's got 1,000 stories of working in professional baseball and having all these kids and grandkids and crazy stories of crime and being an addict.
That makes you an interesting person, dude. So spend your time sharing that with the world. And I've been doing that. So. Yeah, dude. Great. So if that's what you're doing, that's great. And that will catch on, man. And I'll tune in because I like interesting people. Like, that's one of the reasons I love Uber. And I've done it even when I didn't need to do it. I was doing Uber on the weeks off when I had a fucking TV show because it feeds my perspective on the world, right? Yeah. Like being around people that I otherwise might never meet in my life. Feeds my perspective on the world around me. I don't drink, buddy. I don't go to bars. I don't either. Strangers that way. So that for me was the best way to like meet somebody I would never meet and hear their perspective on the world. And it gives me perspective, right?
Yes.
So
in the off season of baseball, Josh, I drove a taxi every off season for 25 years. I owned my own taxi company in Clear. So I got so many stories just from taxi cabs confessions. My godfather was Tony Spilatro, who was the number one guy that ran Las Vegas out of Chicago. So I got a million stories there. My 32 years working in behind the scenes of baseball, and I just want this. I just done with this guy because I'm, I don't brag. I'm humble, but I have blown up, and I have been the second most talked about guy in the. You can't go to any show in the Dabbleverse that they don't talk about me, and my show. I mean, I'm just blowing up that big, and I'm
doing
very
big numbers.
grateful for that. I didn't come in this for money. I don't give a fuck about money. I don't care. And I came to tell my story and to give good content and have a good time. And then this guy roadblocked me. I'm on all the shows. All the shows are asking me to come on. I met Lil Mir. I've been on his show. He's great. I think this kid is going to be a superstar. I love this kid. And Dr. Chow is awesome. But, you gave me what I wanted to hear. I was just grateful that he let me come over here to talk to you. And I will sit down with you anytime you want to talk to me. And I would love to sit down and you could ask me anything you want, and I would give you my story. So
yeah, dude, you need a book deal, man.
I'm working on it.
You write a fucking book, you'll be doing great. So
I'm working on it.
Joey, we'll talk later. But anyway,
yes.
So we'll get back into this.
Joey, do you have any questions for Josh about your enemy?
Yeah.
I mean,
not to bring it back in, but
no, but I'm just saying, I got my answers. I mean,
okay.
He pretty much labeled what I already know of him. Like he said, when he bounces on these people, it's because he don't have it or he lost it, whatever he had. But when he comes at me with this whole trailer trash, I didn't grow up in Florida. I grew up in Chicago. Okay, I grew up in the streets. And now he's talking about trailer trash and then I got all these brothers sleeping on my floor and they're banging my wife.
Smoking sweets.
Listen, man,
he's a scumbag.
I'll say this about this: like the most successful people in the world could never tell you what the score is in the game of life for the people below them.
That's right.
So so this whole Olympics of like you're more poor than me. As like really successful people don't even think in terms of that.
And I am poor. And I
admit that. But Joe Rogan isn't talking about the other podcasters who are less successful than him. He just does his thing and people like it. And if you do your thing long enough and you find a way to keep doing it long enough, you'll find the people that like it. And that's that, man. It's just that simple. Like it's just
simple. You're right.
It is like I'll tell you, the guy who's the best at this in the world is Tim Dillon. Tim Dillon really, from what I've seen, he has this very zen way, and Ty knows him way better. He has this very zen way of just not giving a fuck about anybody who doesn't like him or doesn't fuck with him or doesn't think he's good. Just has this very zen approach of like, I'm looking forward and upward, and that's all I care about. And I think that's like it's a hard thing to do as a person to like only look forward and not think about the people that are trying to bring you down.
Right.
But if you can put yourself in that headspace, man, you'll have a much better life.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Like I said, I've been doing that, and I fell. I made it about a week, but now I'm saying this is stupid because all he's doing is slowing me down now to play cat and mouse with him. You know what I'm saying? And he ain't worth it. He's just not worth it. I mean, back in the day, there's guys of him. He's like a peasant on the bottom of my fucking shoe with the guys that I hung on and I've been with. So he's nothing. He knows that. When I found his weaknesses, I toyed back with him, and that pissed him off because I let people know what he's really about. What I discovered about him, and he just tries to be something he's not. And I don't like any person that tries to be something they're not. Yeah. That's what I hate the most.
That was one of the areas where with he and I, like it almost sort of immediately was like a red flag for me was, when we were talking about sort of career plans and I was always talking about what I wanted to make. It's like, if I make this, then I want to do this and then I want to do this. And I hope it's good enough to where that gets me on the radar. And his thing was always about networking. Like, if I become friends with this person or if I get in with these guys or if I get these guys to like me, then I'm on my way. And I just was like, my brain doesn't work that way. Like I would never I would never try to like network my way into an opportunity I didn't deserve on the merits of what I do. And that's why I think it's so funny when he refers to me as like a fake it till you make it guy, because I've always tried to have the right business sense about what I'm doing. So I've always tried to be like, am I doing this the smart way? Am I using everything at my disposal to maximize what I'm doing? Right. And then even when I've done that, then they try to accuse me of trying to cheat. Where like when I was on the Jesselnick offensive and I was cast last minute to do this like audience game on the show, I wanted to try to like, they used my clip for all the commercials that week, all the marketing for that episode. And I was like, dude, I'm getting all of this press and nobody knows who I am. So when the show aired, I went in and on Twitter followed every single person who was tweeting about the show. And I grew my Twitter following from 800 to 16,000.
Nice.
And then they called that me faking it till I
shit, whatever.
Look like they were like, you're trying to look like you're bigger than you are. I go, no, I'm actually just trying to capture the audience that might be interested in who I am based on watching me on this show, right? And so, and it worked because people were like, oh, this guy's actually a comic. He's really funny. Here are his clips. Here are his, here's the podcast that he's been on. It helped his show too at the time, right? So like, but they thought of that as cheating. Whereas, like I said earlier, but they don't think of their trend jacking or algorithm hacking by what they talk about and what they make content about as cheating, right? So it's such a weird method of accounting. And to me, it's just like, look, all I've ever tried to do is do my own shit and try to get as many people to see it as possible that might like it. And I try to be proactive about that, right? Like I'll go in and I'll try to find, like if I'm tweeting, I just got this new software called Fetica, which used to be called Tweeps Map, but allows me to look at what's trending in areas, right? So if I got a show coming up in Dallas, all week long, I'm going to be looking at shit that's trending in Dallas. And I'm going to be tweeting about shit that's trending in Dallas because I think that might help get people interested in coming to see us in Dallas. I don't just look at, but that's with a specific intention in mind. I'm not just going, what can I talk about that's going to get me the most followers no matter what, no matter where, no matter why. And that's what a lot of these guys do. And so that I think there's like a huge separation in terms of like building your fan base the right authentic way. And that doesn't mean doing nothing, by the way, because there are some guys who go, I don't do anything. That's how real I am. And it's like, the world doesn't work that way.
They don't work
at it. You got to work at it, and nobody's entitled to an audience, no matter how interesting they might be.
But Josh, let's look into these super chats real quick. I kind of want to like feed in these real quick and just take your opinion on them, no matter how trollish they are. They paid money, so they deserve to have like a voice.
Yeah. No, they don't, but they deserve to have their money taken.
I love you, bud. You're so fucking awesome, bro. I love you. You're cool as fuck. All right, here we go. We have the he himself, Joey, here saying, Josh, be my second mic. We can crush Melton together, basically. Joey,
I take that.
I have no interest in talking about Melton. I'll answer if I'm being asked about it.
Right.
You did enough. Thank you. You did enough for me.
Patrick should talk about Patrick. Patrick should lead an interesting enough life to where he could talk about himself and then build a show based around that.
Perfect. Okay, let's continue on. I want to run through these, and I kind of want to get into you a little bit more. So here's another bullshit one. Hey, whatever. Who cares? Thank you.
No, that's fine. No, we can address that one.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, you're goddamn right. She's too good for me. Next question.
Yes, sir.
I'm very lucky. I'm very lucky to have somebody in my life who supported me through all the thick and thin.
Damn right. Good man.
She has great tits too, by the way. Fantastic tits.
There you go.
I don't do it, but no. I mean, she's too good for me, absolutely. But I got her.
All right,
I feel the same way about my wife. Exactly.
They did it. They paid.
Nitty. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, they did.
Got a question?
No, I was just looking. They did it twice. Once they said for Denny, and then they just said for Josh.
This guy's twisted. At least Oliver, New Zealand, $2.
Josh yells at she doesn't deserve that. Let me tell you something. She does deserve it. Every single time I've done it, she deserves it.
This Elsie chick, do you know who this is?
Any guy with a wife knows that they fucking deserve every time you yell at them.
Exactly. Yeah. What are 8 pre-heart attack symptoms? It's made up.
Yeah. They're asking me to defend, like, list all the symptoms. I can tell you what they are.
Weigh him lie. 25 pounds in 14 days. Lie.
Who said 14 days? I've lost 27 pounds in 30 days.
No one even talked about that at all. So
yeah,
Mikey,
but this is what's funny about
what happened to crowdfund for special years
Hold
ago.
on, let me answer. Slow down, buddy. Let me answer them one in a row. Don't do it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Don't try to waterboard me with them and then be like, he dodged a third from the
How
last.
dare he do this? You see, we got him, boys.
The last one, the 8 pre-heart attack symptoms. Let me see if I can remember them. Right. One is profuse sweating, elevated heart rate, edema, swelling of the hands and feet, tingling in the left arm and extremities, chest pains, headaches, blurred vision. How many have I named so far? Because those were all the ones that I had.
6 or 7, I think.
Yeah. So yeah, pretty much when I looked them up, I read 8, and I had every single one of them. And
I got five of them. I have 5 of them right now. So
yeah.
Yeah, so all you super chatters and fans out there, you got a little medical information from Mr. Denny here. So
I
if
would
you got
say,
any of those, get it checked out.
Erectile dysfunction, but that it pre-existed my heart issue.
I ain't got there yet.
Let's continue on, everybody. What happened to
crowdfunded special years ago? No. So that is the by the way, the people who crowdfunded a special, we tried to do one in 2014 or 2015. And the reason we never did it was because I got ginormous food, like right after we had raised the money for it. So my thought was, thinking optimistically, hey, I might be able to do this bigger and better than I wanted to in the first place. So that was the plan, was that we were going to try to get somebody else to pay for doing the special and then still give the credit that we sold when we tried to crowdfund the special. And we just never got to that point. Show got canceled. Everyone knows what's happened in those years since. But everyone who funded that special, by the way, when this special that I'm doing now comes out, they will get the same credit, the same production credit and everything that was committed to them when we did that special. So it's just been a project that's taken forever. But but most of what we raised was like individual donors anyway. Like I think I tried to raise $5,000. I think I raised like, or we tried to raise 10. We raised like 4, but then I had a couple people give us like pretty big producer money to begin with, and that's basically still sitting in the business account waiting for me to do a special. So nice. Whether I end up paying for it out of my own pocket, or even if I get another production company that will pay for it, we will still honor all the producer credits and everything that people paid for. But yeah, sometimes shit takes long to make, dude. And I don't want to make
time.
And I don't want to make a piece of shit. Like I could literally take my phone into a bar and call it a special. A lot of people are doing that. I don't want to do that. I don't want the poor quality of the recording to subtract from the quality of the material. And so I'm waiting until I can do it to where it looks as good as the content deserves. If that makes sense.
I know it does. Yeah, I respect that. So let's hit the last question here. People pay money for $5 for Mikey again, tweaking. Why are you broke in crowdfunding a car purchase as soon as the show ended if you didn't need it to Uber?
Yeah. So again, here is the thing that people are retarded about. This is what they do: is they'll lie and then they'll ask you to defend the lie. Pull that back up.
Oh yeah, I got you.
Pull that back up. Let me walk you through how it's worded. Why were you broke in crowdfunding a car purchase as soon as the show ended if you didn't need to Uber? So what I said earlier, roll the tape, was while the show was going on, I was still Ubering when I didn't need to because I liked the experience of meeting new people. After the show ended, obviously I wasn't making the show money anymore. However, the crowdfunding and the GoFundMe bailout we asked for help on, paying bills and stuff and dealing with repossessions, was a year after that cancellation happened. It was 2019. Right. And basically what had happened was we went fucking broke trying to recover from the cancellation and the money and everything else. And I went out and got another corporate job and then got fired from that job on day 2 because a woman went and bitched to HR about everything I had done as a comedian prior to working there. Yeah. Right. And so I ended up suing that company too. We lost in summary judgment like a year later. But it's like they get the facts wrong and then they expect you to defend their lie. So
Right.
there was like 18 months between when I was actively doing the show and then when we had to do a crowdfunding to like cover our bills and shit so we didn't get evicted.
You need this up anymore or no?
No, you can take it down.
Okay, cool.
By the way, they think this is like shameful for me. I've talked openly and honestly about all of these things. You're not getting me with any of this.
It's just the trolls. You know, they're not even human. So you ain't got to worry about them.
Again, this is also a lie. Gavin didn't say that. I wasn't caught having no new material. I said it earlier in the show. Some of the Proud Boys that were at that show had seen me do these bits at other shows this year. So they knew the premises and they were yelling out the premises. That's not me getting caught having no new material. The material I'm doing on the road right now is not any of the material I've previously recorded or put out anywhere. So it's just like, again, you guys are so fucking gay.
No, here's something real quick though, Josh. This Mikey Sings character, let's look at it real quick. $1, $7, $9, 11.
Just threw another one.
Oh, you just did another one. Here we go.
He's a big fan.
Here you go.
Why did you claim Will the agency?
The agency was lying about you, and would you sue? Last month, no suit. All true.
Again, this is probably Mike himself, by the way. Because I can tell by the way the words are written. That's Mike David himself. Why did you claim Will? Because he was lying, and I said if he lied about anything that was defamatory, I would have sued him. He didn't do that. Isaac's a lawyer. He knows what he can and can't say.
You said you got Vince the lawyer?
Go ahead.
What's that?
No, you said you had Vince the lawyer?
No.
He doesn't.
No, Joey, we're not even on that shit, bro.
I just thought I heard Vince. That's all.
Will the agency, John and Julie, all right, buddy? We're actually in some big boy area now.
Yeah, Will the agency was an ad agency that my friends.
Don't embarrass me in front of Josh, all right? Come on.
All right, buddy.
Yeah, Will the agency was an ad agency that my friend started in the pandemic with a pandemic loan, and he asked me to come help him build his company.
Nice.
And I went in there with the intention of running his business operations. And then he asked me to do business development, which is basically going out and trying to drum up business.
Nice.
And we did that. And we tried to get a couple meetings. It was hard to get meetings during the pandemic because people weren't spending $30,000 on advertising for their small business when they can't even keep the doors open. So it was a tough time. But I did get meetings. He tried to go on Twitter and say, like, I didn't get a single meeting. All the meetings we had, with the exception of one that was like a friend of his that he knew for a long time, was stuff that I got through cold call emails to businesses trying to get them interested in our pitch. And what's funny is this is what's so great. We had a CRM, right, which is a customer relationship management software that I went out and got for the business so that we could track who was actually working and who wasn't. And Isaac hated it because Isaac is horrible at writing and writes terrible emails. He sent a shitload of bad emails out to potential clients with typos and fuck ups and bad copy paste just so that he could check the box that he was doing what we all agreed to do, and he couldn't do it. And then furthermore, when I did get some meetings in, so like Uncle Paulie's was a company here in LA, it's a sandwich shop. I got them to come in for a meeting, and his fucking advertising creative work was garbage, and they hated it. And then I got Booze Philly cheesesteaks. By the way, go figure, the food guy getting restaurants to come in to meet with us. Another company I got us a call with was a company called Bullstrap, which was like an iPhone accessory company out of Florida. So like I'd gotten us a handful of meetings, but we weren't able to close these things because the creative that they were, which was their side of the business, was not great. Right. So what was interesting was the way that whole thing unfolded was, and I put this on Twitter. People can go back on X and read it. Isaac blocked me because he knows he's a lying fag. But the bottom line is this is the problem. A lot of people think that because I have a lot of followers on Twitter, that should be some indication of my success. It doesn't mean anything other than the fact that I'm good on Twitter. That's all it means, right? And there are a lot of people who follow me who don't like my shit, but they follow me because they want to jump on something that I say on Twitter. They want to argue with me on Twitter, whatever, regardless. He thought that he was going to bring his canceled friend into his business, right? And that he was just going to have this street credit of having a canceled celebrity in his business. And then the business was just going to pour through the floodgates for this anti-cancel culture ad agency. And so this idea that I was supposed to just bring him fucking business hand over fist because I was like
the new talk of the town,
a canceled guy who had a TV show.
Right.
And if you go back and listen to the podcast, like we did a couple advertising industry podcasts, and if you listen to the way he talks about me, everything I'm telling you is true. He tried to use me as like the face of his fucking company to legitimize them being anti-cancel culture. The problem is when clients that he went back to, so there was a client that he went back to, who he had pitched them when he worked at a bigger agency. And he was like, they liked his ideas. And he was like, I'm going to go back to them and see if they'll give us their business. Okay. He came back and said that the reason they didn't go with us was because they didn't like my political commentary on Twitter. And he goes, you need to like tape down what you're doing on Twitter. And I said, are you out of your fucking mind?
Are we not in butter, motherfucker?
That's literally, I go, and by the way, that's literally what we're selling people that we're against. And now you're telling me to capitulate to you because that company doesn't like what I'm saying? Go fuck yourself. Exactly. And then what he said to me was, he goes, if you think, I go, I'm not editing myself on Twitter for the betterment of this business. And at the same time, like, he had run out of the money that he was going to spend to pay us. I wasn't going to keep working for free. So I said, if you want me to work for you, I've got to have equity in the company. And we were trying to work out an equity deal, right? I go, I'm not going to work for free for a business I have no ownership in. That's called slavery, and you'd be dumb to do it. I'm not going to do it, right? I was like, I'll go back to drive fucking Uber or whatever I got to do during the pandemic to pay my bills. I'm not going to work for you for free. Yeah, and by the way, I'm not going to work for you in your company job that you own harder than you're working, right? He hated the CRM because he was the only one who wasn't hitting the fucking goals we all.
No. Wait, isn't that capitalism at its greatest though?
What is
capitalism?
What?
You created something so you make people work harder than you have to, right? Isn't that capitalism in its own extent?
I don't think you'll find that in the definition of capitalism anywhere.
Never.
You might find it in the definition of exploitation. You know who else workers worked harder than them for the thing they own? Slaves. Right?
God damn it,
they were idiots every day they showed up on the fucking job and agreed to it. I'm not an idiot. So I said, if you want me to work for free, like we're all in this together, then I'm going to own part of the company too. Otherwise, get the fuck out of here.
I love it.
We were trying to negotiate. We were trying to negotiate that, and part of the reason that was so different, he has a law degree, and he had to get a CPA friend to help him work out the way that this would work because he doesn't know business enough to know how equity works in companies. And so, and I won't get too far into the weeds on that because if you guys
don't. I got something to say real quick, but go ahead.
So anyway, we get into this moment, and then, so basically, in my opinion, he was trying to leverage this idea that I was costing the company business to try to get me to take a shittier deal.
All I know is I make money. That's it, bitch.
Yeah. So he was trying to make it sound like I was now a liability for this new business that we all started together because of what I was saying online, which doesn't work on me because that's not what I'm about. And he goes, well, I don't think you have any leverage in this negotiation. And he goes, if you think you can just go be a famous comedian, then go ahead and do that. He was being a real cunt. And I just said, okay. And I hung up and never spoke to him again. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm working on becoming a successful comedian.
You are successful. Stop saying you are. You are doing it. You are.
And he was like, well, my fucking agency's on its way now. And I go, great. That's great for you. I don't think about you at all, bro. I don't care. Somebody on Twitter like a month ago asked me whatever happened with that, because I think he was getting heat from something he written. Isaac had written something, and by the way, he's very good at that. He's good at writing things that get interest, whether people love him or hate him. But somebody asked me, and I go, yeah, no, and I went into a little bit of detail as to what happened and why I don't work for him anymore. And he freaked the fuck out. He texted me a bunch of shit, and I posted it.
How dare you?
There's no he said, she said. I posted exactly what he texted me. He's a lunatic. And he was like, you have 10 minutes to delete everything you said or else. And I go, fuck you. Same thing. Like, you would never talk to me this way in person. He got lippy with me on a conference call one time where he was disrespectful to me, talked to me like I was some fucking indentured servant in front of a client or something. And I hung up the phone on the conference call and I called him directly and I said to him, if you ever speak to me like that in front of another person again, I will feed you every single one of the teeth in your head. And he was
Oh my God.
He was like, dude, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I was
Fuck him.
I
He's a
was
bitch.
bothered.
He knows what he's doing, bro.
And he apologized like a fucking faggot, and because that's what he is. And he, and then he talks tough on the internet. Dude, bro, you live in my city. I'm not hard to find.
You know what that guy needs? To be honest with you, he needs a good. This is my specialty that I love.
Joey, let's hear it.
Is my favorite weapon is an ice pick. And especially when you get in and you stick it in their balls, you just repeatedly get them in the balls with an ice pick.
Now, Joey,
that's what the guy needs like that. That's what he needs.
Why not through the penis hole? Because I would think that would be worse.
That would be painful.
Or
like
cut a nib off each finger each day.
Nib off each finger, dude. Okay, hang on, Joey C. Hang on, before you say some crazy shit about what you're gonna do to somebody.
There, right there. Put the fucking finger in there and clip. See you later. It's all over.
Okay, I get it. You
Wait a minute. Is that thing specifically for cutting off fingers, or is that like a cigar thing?
No, that's a
but
not for cigars.
Because that literally looks like New Age rabbi circumcision tools.
Is this Tokyo?
I really am grateful that I got to talk to you. And is that how you reach you on Twitter? Because I'll DM you.
This is how I reach you on Twitter. No,
yeah, at Josh Denny. Yeah, man.
Exactly.
Right, cool.
But here, okay, I gotta go here soon, guys, because this show has been going on way too long. That I thought Denny was just a great man and everything, and I just want to end it really quickly with him because he's such a great individual. There's nothing really alternative or crazy about him. We want to end like around an hour and a half because
are you on East Coast or West Coast?
Shut the fuck up, Joey, and stop talking, okay?
All right,
perfect. So I kind of want to end it early with you because you seem like a non-confrontational, very easygoing guy. I love that. So, yeah, motherfucker, I'm ending it soon, okay? Chill out. Sorry, my friends are, and everyone's freaking out. Look where the fuck you at. They can shut the fuck up for a second because I'm with legends right now who talked to Kanye. Ye.
Yeah.
It's amazing to see just like...
Yeah, that's not talking to another human being is not some.
No, it's not. You are a legend. You're not human anymore, in my opinion.
Okay,
you're something else. Trust me, I've been around non-humans.
Big old bag of mashed up assholes. That's what I'm. That's what I am. It's either from Eastbound and Down. Or it looks like a bag of mashed up assholes.
Okay, let me finish. Jesus Christ, fuck you guys. All right, Joey. I love you.
I love you too, buddy.
Even though you and I have very many differences with guests.
Not that far. Not that far in between, buddy.
Not that far in between. But Joey, like I always say, I appreciate your honesty. I appreciate your vigilance. You're like Antonio Banderas and Zorro. You are against...
I definitely we'll give the truth to you 110%.
Exactly. You'll never do it. I just hope.
Is that what he was known for in Zorro? Was I thought it was fucking and stabbing.
No idea. Yeah.
Here's the thing. We have an ancient relic such as Josh Denny himself, who's been through everything. He knows everything. He does everything.
Okay.
And he understands Patrick Melton, because I don't want to get him too much, but you're going through it right now, like very bad. You don't react, and if you do react, you're in the wrong view. But bruh, I'm gonna be honest with you, Joey. You react so badly and so non-discreetly that it's disturbing to me. I've seen you threaten to not kill him, but just be like, we're gonna break your ankles. You know who we're talking with. Your co-host say crazy shit about him, and you're sitting here agreeing with Josh, like, oh yeah, we do that.
I do agree with
it. No, motherfucker. I've seen you. Don't lie to me.
I'm not. I wouldn't lie to you, buddy. You know that. You know better than that.
I know you don't, but you like to choose sides because you're conniving like that. You're sneagling around. And it's disturbing. You're like Smeagol.
All right. That's fair.
That is fair. You can give me that all you fucking want. Josh, don't play that shit with me, bro. For real. Don't try to talk down to me like that on my own show. That's disturbing to me. Fuck you, Joey, for that. I don't like that. I'm not kidding to you, dude.
What is happening right now? This is taking forever.
Josh, shut the fuck up for a second, all right? I'm talking to this guy because he needs to understand this. This is real shit right here, okay? Joey, stop reacting. Stop making videos shitting on Patrick Melton for a second and then saying, "Oh, we're done with this. We're done with it," and then he's just on your dead daughter or your stabby daughter, or whatever, again, and then you continue on with it. You got to stop.
He's never going to stop Mir, so he's not going to listen to you either. Why would he?
Why wouldn't you stop? You know,
because he likes it. It's part of his show. It's his drama, and he feels he was wronged. We've gone over it for the last hour and a half, and we've done 4 hours with Joey, and you did the same thing. So,
I don't understand, dude. This guy says he's a real motherfucker.
I might just surprise you, Mir. So just give me a little time. Might just surprise you.
Okay. All right.
Hey, don't worry about it. It's his business, honestly. Like if you're getting disturbed by it, like
I like
tune
Joey.
out.
As a friend, I don't understand his retardation towards it, but okay.
Yeah,
but no, I get it. But let's finish with Josh real quick because I gotta go and I'm done with this. Joey, I love you, but I don't agree with what you're doing. I'm sorry.
Give me a chance.
I do give you a chance. I love listening to your show. You have an amazing morning show and afternoon show, whatever. But anyway, Josh, last question before we go. What was your? Because I never learned this at all. What was your take on Red Bar's like comedy store he had and whatnot? That venue he had, it got canceled or broken up and whatnot. And then what was going on with that? Because you said you performed there at one point, right?
Yeah, and Patrick and I both did.
What happened with that Red Bar
right
shit?
Before, yeah, I mean, I've talked about this on a million shows. I mean, like, people can go fucking find this. I did a whole stream where I talked about all this. And it's on my YouTube, so people can just go to my YouTube and see the full thing. It's a real echoey, shitty content piece of content, which is always the way. Like, you want your production value to be the worst on the thing that people want to watch the most. That's what I like to do. That's my meta level.
Joey, did you do this?
No, I didn't do nothing.
Joey, fuck you. I knew you were fucking melting around.
You froze for a second.
Oh, no.
You're
I was
good.
saying,
You froze.
Long story short, man, like exactly what I said. Like, there was some bad business between him and his business partners, and they sued him and locked him out of it. And,
Yeah, I went there too. It wasn't a comedy club. It was a
nightclub
district.
Yeah, but it was a nightclub
on Ohio.
No, it was in Chicago.
Ohio Street, I meant, in Chicago.
Oh, yeah. But, yeah, I mean, I've heard a million things. Like, first of all, I talked to his business partner. Patrick and I talked to his business partners while this was happening. So we have from that horse's mouth, their perspective on what was happening. And I believe them more than I believe Mike. So if you were to believe what they said, he was embezzling money from the business. They found out about it. They blocked him out of the fucking club. He lied to his fans about what happened and said they stole it from him.
Yeah.
But I believe them more than I believe him. And by the way, they're still owning and operating and running those comedy clubs. And he's on the lam in Arizona. So, I just think, but I will tell you, like, I know just my own personal experience. We did his club on a weekend, and he was supposed to pay us, and he tried to not pay us, and we had to go to his business partner, Kyle, to get paid because he was trying not to pay us. And, in that moment, when we went to the club to get paid, Kyle was like, yeah, we've been having some accounting issues, and we didn't realize that he was sort of like intimating that this whole thing was about to blow up and then they're about to lock Mike out of the business and everything else. So, like, we talked about this on Patrick's show while it was happening. And I think that in of itself was a big part of what put a bullseye on my back with Mike in the beginning, was that, like, I've known him long enough and I know enough comics who came up with him and everything to know, like, all his skeletons and all his secrets. And I've not ever pulled punches talking about them. And that's why, he doesn't like me. Like, I do constantly bring up the fact that allegedly he met his wife when she was a 13-year-old listener of the show. I think that's interesting.
I've seen that.
Interesting.
I think that's interesting. I think it's interesting that you do fucking four 8-hour shows on Crystalia being a pedophile. And many people have confirmed that you met your fucking wife when she was a 13-year-old listener of the show. So that may be or may not be, but I just think it's interesting.
Very interesting. They say people will throw at you what they really are doing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they do say that. They do say that. Okay. So, it's just like, dude, if I had as many skeletons in the closet as some of these guys have, I wouldn't be throwing so many fucking stones. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And by the way, like
go
somebody goes, Denny believes the anti-Mike lie based on no evidence. How's that any different than what you guys talk about me on NLO about? They've completely fabricated shit about my life that is nowhere near true, and they run with it, and they're completely off. By the way, here's a funny thing. When we started Will the Agency, they did an entire show shitting on us for starting a talent agency and had no idea that it was an advertising agency. So for like a week, Mike was doing content on us thinking that we started our own agency, and he had no fucking idea what it actually was. Yeah. So it's like, and there's been many times where he'll like say shit like, oh, Denny says he was at the Comedy Store on this night with these people, and then people produce the receipts, and he's like, we're just a comedy show. We're not about getting it right.
We have evidence.
Right.
Yeah, I'm sure you do, faggot. I'm sure you do.
Yeah. So do I. I have the evidence of math. When you count backwards, the math makes sense.
Amen.
I will just tell you that I can't accuse a man of something I don't know about for sure, but I know the math looks very Catholic.
Very good. Well put.
Despite it being Jewish, the math comes out very Catholic. But you know, I guess pedophilia is like fine in the Jewish faith. I don't know anything about it.
No. Hang on. I don't want to get into pedophilia because it goes back centuries before even Christianity. I mean, with like a man. And
yeah. So you mean
it goes way back further?
Judaism? You mean it's Old Testament before Christ, right? Which would be Judaism. So,
but don't most pedophiles hide behind religion? A lot of them do.
Yeah, sure. I don't know. I don't know a lot of them.
I don't know, Joe. Do you know a lot of them?
You hear the ones that got caught, and they're always at a church. They're doing something with the church, you know.
Of course.
Yeah.
Dr. Chow, you have any last lingering questions for Denny before I wrap this show up?
No, I mean, but Joey was trying to get something out earlier, and it ties to what we're kind of talking about.
No,
are you in LA still?
Yeah. I'm in LA.
You're an LA guy. Okay.
Yeah. I'm
cool. Yeah.
Okay.
I lived in California for a while. I lived in Nevada. I lived in Arizona. I did the whole West Coast circuit. I'm, like I said, born and raised in Chicago. I'm in Florida, Shittville, Tampa. I hate it here. Not a big
Joey, do you? I'm gonna give you 2 questions for Josh before we end the show. Give 2 questions.
2 questions I got is
one question.
How often?
The second one. Go ahead.
I'm not a guy, like I said, that I know anything about comics. I've never been to a real comedy show. I'd like to pick your brain and talk with you. Do you come down to the Tampa circuit? Do you do the Florida circuit at all when you stand up?
Yeah, we did Tampa and Boca 7:15 and 7:16. Actually, I should plug this. I'm the last show on the End Racism tour is this weekend in Dallas, 10:20, 10:21, and I'm also headlining the late shows there by myself, and then on Sunday. But I am doing Walk-A-Con in West Palm Beach, and that's in early November.
Cool.
I'll be doing the roast of Brandon Strock down there. So I'll be down in West Palm Beach. Like, I should probably find the actual date of that.
Is that a political thing?
It is, but we're doing comedy. We're doing a roast, so I'm involved in that. I'll be attending the other like political events and stuff, but it's Veterans Day weekend. It's the events like the 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. Fucking Rudy Giuliani's gonna be there. I'm psyched for that.
Hey,
yeah, dude.
The man from New York.
I'll be on that. I'll be on that with Alex Stein. Will be on it. There's a bunch of really cool. Like, it's a mixture.
Trump gonna go out? Is gonna be out there?
Maybe.
Alex don't do
This
well,
motherfucker's doing shit. You motherfuckers all talk this shit. He's a loser and shit, dude. Alex Stein, Rudy Giuliani. Damn, bro. All right.
Yeah, dude. Giuliani's gonna be there. Oh, dude, if Trump's gonna be there, I'm not even gonna lie. I'm gonna clean my my jeans and then I'll blame Chipotle for it.
It's probably
that's a deep cut there.
8 miles from there, 9 miles from West Palm Beach. It's just
dude,
right over.
Is Mike Pillow being there? Is Mike Pillow being there?
My fucking shit. I will lose my fucking shit if I get to meet Trump.
Is Mike Pillow being there or not?
No. He's not. He's not on the list yet. Yeah. Pillow. What's that guy's name? Mike Lindell. Yeah.
Mike Lindell.
Now, see, of all the conservative guys, he's the guy I would be the least interested to have a conversation with.
Really?
He seems strange.
Dude, he's got a crazy life, bro.
Yeah, he's cocaine addict. He's tweaked,
He's a big drug addict, and like he got into like all these different Like,
I love
try
him. You should interview him
businesses.
sometime.
He's a wild dude.
Yeah. I don't know. He's always rubbed me the wrong way. He's always rubbed me the wrong way in the media I've seen him on, but I don't know.
No, he's not. This is what media wants you to think. Trust
Okay.
me.
I think he's a good dude.
He's a great guy. You should.
I don't know.
I also
though.
just have a weird thing with guys who have like Midwest Jesse Ventura accent.
Michael. Primetime 99.
Prime
Pimp on
time.
a blimp. Pimp on a blimp. Primetime 99. My boy.
Joey, I'm gonna give you one more question towards.
No, I'm good. I'm
Josh
good. I
before we end
want
this
to thank you, Josh.
I'm good too, man.
For what you did tonight. I got a lot of information on you. I will reach out to you. I'd like to pick your brain. And I'm definitely going to get in touch with you. So, and I thank you for the information that you helped me with. So,
just try to think of it. Just try to have the perspective of the shit you're mad about today. You won't even think about.
You're right. No, I do. Thank you very much.
Everyone. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to do a plug for you, Lil Mir. Tomorrow, 2:00 Eastern, we got the beautiful Selena Rose coming on.
Congratulations, buddy.
Who also happens to be one of a very famous adult actress, but also one of ATP's ex-girlfriends. So it's going to be a great show. Special time, 2:00 in the afternoon. So
nice. I'll be there.
Tune in tomorrow again for another great interview. But I'll just say, before I pass it to Mir, appreciate you, Josh. Thanks for coming on.
Yes. Yeah, man. Thanks for having me, guys. It's been fun.
Mir, thank you for having me. Dr. Chow, as always, thank you.
Joey, see you.
Don't even leave yet. Don't even leave yet, you bitch. All right,
I'm going to thank you guys now. So
perfect. All right. You're gonna go out with us. I just want to say right now for everyone listening, Josh, I thought because before I was a fan before I did any of this shit, right? Shut up, Chow. Josh, I thought you were a loser. I thought you were a tweaker. I thought you were a hater. I didn't believe a word you would say. I thought Gavin and Anthony were making a mistake having gone on their tour. And then I actually started listening to other outlets as a smart individual would do. And I talked to actually people who knew you, and you kind of have that middle ground about that personnel and whatnot. And then having you on here today, even though I might agree with you on things and whatnot, I will have to say you actually inspired me. I'm not kidding. Look at me. You actually inspired me as an individual. You are honestly a trailblazer in what you do. You can laugh. Oh, dude, I don't like it when you laugh, man. Or people laugh at this. I laugh.
Well,
everyone fucking laughs when I compliment them.
You can't in one breath go, "Hey, man."
Why not? Why not? Why not? Why can't I do that?
Let me finish.
Go ahead.
You can't in one breath go, "Hey, man, a week ago I believed everything about you that's negative, and I was your biggest hater, but now you inspire me." It's a little bit of an overcorrection.
Is it, or is it the honesty, truth?
Maybe, I don't know. I
don't know.
I gotta feel it out.
Quiet, let me talk about it a little bit, okay? You are, in my opinion, no one has to agree with this. Okay, all you fucking tweakers in the chat. Josh is a good man. He can rib with the boys, and he knows what he's talking about, and he knows business, and he knows getting shit done because he's not a fucking loser. He doesn't just stay complacent. And I love that about you. Too many people in work atmospheres overall stay complacent because it's easy for them and it's recognizable to them. You have to reach out a little bit. You have to do your own thing. You have to press out there and do your own shit. And Josh, you've done that. And I'm not going to lie to you, Josh. You've moved and you've grown from that small atmosphere of NLO and Red Bar back in the 2010s to where you're at now. And it's beautiful to see. I love seeing it. You're growing as a comedian. You're growing as a human. You have successful people around you. You can laugh. Go ahead. You have successful people around you. And you're surrounded by amazing icons, talents. You're talking to Ye and all that shit. And I'm just going to say to you right now, thank you for coming on the show and just talking to us young gents about this shit, because to me, it means the world. For real. You made a difference, even though haters can hate on it or whatever they want to do. You do make a difference, as a human and what you're portraying to the world. And it's beautiful to see and it's beautiful to watch. And don't ever stop, no matter how much hate you get. For real.
I have no intention of stopping.
You do so much more than Patrick Melton or Red Bar Mike, whatever the fuck is whatever his last name is.
Who's this
Never
fucking
think
Red
of.
Bar guy?
Shut up, Joey. But you do such great things. Oh, Joey, I love you.
No, you've got a very interesting story. Being on TV, being a traveling comedian, doing all this other stuff you're doing. So we appreciate it.
Thank you for hopping on, and Ryan, thank you for having him on here to help out with this like typhoon. Josh, as always, it's beautiful to watch you, sir, and I hope you grow more. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me, dude.
Much success, Josh. I wish you much success. I mean that.
Thank you.
Peace
all right,
out,
till
everybody.
next time, Mir.
Till next
See
time,
you
everybody.
guys.
Later.
You guys all have a great evening.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.